Evidence at the Madlanga Commission shows suspended MMC Kolofelo Morodi may have tried to subvert the recruitment process of new Metro police officers by attempting to squeeze her preferred candidates through the back door. It's emerged the Action SA councillor sent Gauteng Cop Sergeant Fanny Nkosi documents containing the list of people who applied to become TMPD officers. Nkosi forwarded the list to the TMPD Deputy Chief Umashi Dlamini, who he had a close relationship with. Tebiso Goba takes a look.
Sergeant Fanny Nkosi has emerged as the go-to middleman in Tshwane. Business people went through him to reach senior officials in the city. Sometimes other employees at the Metro also went through him to get favors from the higher-ups at the municipality. Nkosi says there was nothing untoward in MMC Kolofelo Morodi, sending him a list of people who applied to join the TMPD.
MMC Morodi did not give me this thing because of there is someone she expected me to engage with so that they can influence those particular employment. 1. 2, she did not give me those things because she was cutting her footprints and did not want people to know that she's also involved. She gave me out of her generosity of trying to help people in needy.
Nkosi says none of the people in Morodi's list were hired by the TMPD. At the same time, Morodi has been suspended by her party Action SA. Following yesterday's revelations, she sent Nkosi confidential tender documents. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
For live updates of the Commission, visit ewn.co.za or watch live proceedings on our YouTube channel. Let's turn to this now. The services SETA has admitted that 3 whistleblowers who exposed corruption were unfairly dismissed between 2017 and 2020. SETA Administrator Letlhogonolo Masoga says the employees were targeted and fired after exposing corruption and will now be compensated. The trio blew the whistle on maladministration and irregular tenders with millions of rands at the entity. Dimakatsolo Shoro reports.
The employees argued their dismissals were automatically unfair, saying they should have been protected under the Public Disclosure Act. This triggered an internal investigation and legal review process. The matter included extensive hearings and was later assessed by an independent law firm, which reached the same conclusion. Masoga says his decision was guided by constitutional principles,
which is the basis upon which I'm standing here as an administrator, with an intention to protect these heroic individuals involved.
The services SETA remains under administration as government tries to overhaul the SETA system and address governance failures, financial mismanagement and weak oversight. Dimakatsolo Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
The Department of Mineral Resources has urged the public not to panic buy fuel in fear of shortages and expected price hikes next month. This follows a sharp rise in the price of Brent crude oil, which has increased by about 8% this week. Department spokesperson Lerato Ntsoko says while there may be isolated disruptions, these do not amount to a national fuel shortage.
Calls for the public to rush to the pumps are irresponsible. They place undue pressure on the supply systems, congestion at service stations, and anxiety among consumers. The department calls out organizations, public representatives, commentators, and social media users to act responsibly and to refrain from spreading unverified or speculative claims regarding fuel supply and fuel price developments.
And outraged EU leaders have accused Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban of blackmail after he refused to lift his veto on funds for Ukraine's war effort. Moscow's closest partner in the bloc, Hungary, has long resisted helping Kyiv to repel Russia's invasion by stalling EU aid and repeated rounds of sanctions. This time, Orban is holding up a €90 billion loan, which he previously greenlit as leverage in a feud over damage to a pipeline through Ukraine, which has choked the flow of Russian oil to Hungary and Slovakia. Now, leaders lined up after the summit to condemn Russia and Hungary's U-turn. Orban had made it clear that he planned to play hardball as he leans into anti-EU and anti-Ukrainian narratives ahead of close-fought national elections on April 12th. President of the EU Council, Antonio Costa.
But the leaders take the floor to clearly condemn the attitude from Viktor Orban, to remember that once a deal is a deal, and all the leaders need to honor their word. And nobody can blackmail the European Council. Nobody can blackmail the European Union institutions.
Gold is trading at $4,668.23 an ounce. The rand is at 16.87 to the dollar, 22.56 to the pound, 19.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $106.84 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading into Brakpan, there's those roadworks on the N17 eastbound causing heavy delays approaching Carnival City. Also, in the Leondale Fosterless area, you can still expect about an hour delay. This is on the N3 in both directions between Perry Maria and Heidelberg Road.
In your sport, New Zealand take 2-1 lead in their respective T20 series against South Africa. Michael Carrick unsure if Matthias de Ligt will play again this season amid debilitating back injury. And Guillermo Ochoa called up to Mexico's squad with an eye on a historic 6th World Cup appearance.
A partly cloudy Friday in Gauteng today with scattered showers still expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 29 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: evidence at the Madlanga Commission shows suspended MMC Kulofelo Morodi may have tried to interfere in the TMPD's recruitment process.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to 702 Afternoon Drive. 702 Drive with John Perlman is brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's 7 minutes past 3. That means it's time for Drive. My name is Komotao Modise and I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. Thank you for choosing us. Happy Friday. I hope that you're having a good Friday and you're as excited as I am to be at the brink or at the cusp of the weekend. I've really been looking forward to this weekend. All right, coming up on the show, it's the Friday edition, so lots of fun lined up, but also lots of news too. We'll dip into the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Sergeant Fanny Nkosi is back for a 6th day on the stand, and I think things are getting rather intense. We speak to EWN reporter Thabiso Koba, who's been following the commission, and then I don't know if you have driven around Four Ways recently, that Four Ways Stain City area. Someone has been joking that it's currently the safest part of the city, and that's because of the current World Tournament, the Live Golf Tournament. It looks really amazing from what I've seen on social media, so we'll touch base with the EWN reporter who's been covering that. And then we'll talk about economic growth in Gauteng. The province is still an economic hub for our country, but there are concerns about somewhat of a stagnation. And we're going to be having a conversation about the plan that's been launched for that later on in the show. That's just before 4 o'clock. And then because it's Friday, we have Randall's one song. And just before 5 o'clock, we wrap up the show with a song and a book and a dish. And today we have... It's the multi-award-winning Theo Kosingwe. He's going to be talking to us later on in the show. I'm really looking forward to that conversation. That's the show today. On the Afternoon Drive team today, we've got the two Karabos. Karabo Malapile is our technical producer. Karabo Jale is watching the roads. Jonathan and Refue are taking your calls. Tolegele Mganga is on sport. Mongezi Koko has the news. And Stephen Curtis has your business. Get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. The number to dial is 011-883-0702. Or if you'd rather send us a WhatsApp, it's 072-702-1702. If you want to get in touch with me on X, my handle is at @moto_Modise. That's at @moto_Modise. That's Afternoon Drive today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the show.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
So it is a Friday, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited for every Friday really that comes, and that's not because my weekends are any less busy. I think I still pack my weekends quite a bit, but it feels good to feel like I'm taking a bit of a break or I'm getting a bit of rest, and I hope that you are looking forward to this weekend as much as I am. It is one of those weekends where the public holiday, so Human Rights Day, was supposed to be, it's the 21st, but we forfeit the public holiday because it lies on the Saturday. So unfortunately, we don't get this public holiday, and it feels like a wasted one. It actually is, if you ask me. But it's okay. We still get 2 days of a bit of rest, and I hope that you're going to be getting some rest. In terms of the markets, it seems that the dollar has managed to gain some sort of ground at 16 Rand 87 to the Rand has gained a bit of ground at 16 Rand 87 to the US dollar. That oil price still rather concerning, 108.65 to that Brent crude oil number, $108.65. And I think it doesn't seem to be coming down below the $100 mark just as yet. And we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Stephen Curtis is going to be coming to give us an update on those business stories. So someone has been saying that Fourways is arguably the safest area in Joburg currently. And that's because of the police presence in that area, because of the Live Golf Festival. Now, I've been driving near, I've driven just around Fourways, and I can tell you it's very, very, very busy, and it's very, very, very safe. There's a lot of Metro police officers, and of course, when there's a world tournament, you expect that. You expect that people feel safe. We've got guests, so, we need to take care of those guests, and they must not experience anything that we wouldn't like them to experience. But it's got me thinking about the type of festival, or a festival that I feel like I must go to before I die. Or that's on my bucket list, I should say, right? And I have a couple of those. I didn't realize just how many people are excited about Live Golf, but it's all over my social media timelines, and people are talking about it even in the office. So it seems it's on a number of people's bucket lists, and I think it's great that they were able to go, or they are able to attend this weekend, because it is the first one on African soil. But I can think of a couple of events that are on my bucket list. Festivals, sporting events. I was thinking about Coachella is a popular one that I'm looking forward to. Karavojale?
There's plenty.
Really?
Particularly sporting events. I would love to go to any Grand Slam tennis tournament. But the one that I don't understand the sport, but I just want to go there for the vibes.
Yeah.
And the halftime show. I would like to go watch the Super Bowl, the American football, the final. So yeah, I think that will be an experience. I don't understand the sports event, the sports itself, or like what they're doing. But just for the vibes.
Want to be there.
Yeah, just for the vibes.
Yeah.
I would love to be there.
And they make a big deal of it,
Yeah.
eh? Like it looks, from what we see in the media, that this is the place to be.
Yeah, and I just want to see like the whole preparation, how they get it all set up in such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
And yeah, that will be quite interesting.
Rifue, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Khumuto, and the rest of the 702 La Familia. You know what? You mentioned one of my favorites.
Coachella.
Yeah. Coachella. Because Coachella, it happens in California, I believe, and it's packed.
Yes.
I love music, so I'm a music head. I love my music. And I've been working very, very hard in the gym, so I can wear my bum shorts also there because the weather is allowing. I could just be colorful, and you meet new people all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's people that are coming from all over the world, getting there, loving music, sharing experiences, but I am therefore wanting to go to Coachella. Also, Essence Festival in New Orleans. Yes, that's also quite nice. I've always seen it in the movies, and I just thought, you know what, this looks like my cup of tea, or maybe my cup of green matcha kind of situation.
I think the equivalent, or the African equivalent of Coachella is Afrochella. I think there's one called Afrochella.
Oh, the one in Nigeria. Is it Nigerian?
No, so yes, I think that the one in Nigeria is Dirty December. So something called Dirty December, which is also really, really cool. And the people that are actually Ghanaian will fight me on this, because I've known Dirty December as a Nigerian festival, so to speak. But there's a bit of a fight there in the West over who owns Dirty December. And it's a time of the year. I understand that it's not necessarily a festival, but it's a time of year, which is December, where all, the Africans all over the diaspora make their way back to Ghana or Nigeria, and they have a festival. Yes, it's like December here at home, I think. So that sounds like a bit of a vibe. I'm looking forward to that. I heard about Kunye the other day as well. I think that's the one with DJ Shimza. Apparently, it's absolutely amazing. So those are just some of the ones that I can think of.
Let's make a deal, guys. Let's make a deal.
Okay.
Putting pressure on all of us right now. Let's do it. We have to go to one of these, guys.
Sheesh.
Like one of them by the end of the year.
The end of the year.
Budget.
Guys,
come on,
imagine
let's
going
do
to California.
It. YOLO, let's
going
go.
home, telling my partner we're going to California.
Kunye is local, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's done. I think
it's done.
Yeah.
Let's find something local that's similar, and let's start this bucket list. Let's not wait until like 2 years.
I'm looking at the Coachella. I'm like the pictures there. Something similar to that I've been. It's Hey Neighbor. That was brilliant.
Yes.
I think that was the equivalent of Coachella, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe smaller scale Coachella.
Yes.
Yeah, but it is amazing. I've been also. So, all right. So I want to hear from you. What's that one sporting event, that one festival that you must attend, that you say, I need to go to this event before I die? It's on my bucket list and I must experience it. I love how there's just a number of these events, many of them, some of them at least local, so in South Africa, and some of them abroad. Get in touch with us. The number to dial is 011 883 0702 072 702 1702.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now. Karabo Chale?
Yeah, Vosloorus, Leondale, expect about an hour delay. This is on the N3 in both directions between Heidelberg Road and Berry Marais. It looks like there's a police operation going on there. While in Brakpan, there's bumper traffic. N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City due to roadworks. The rest of 702 land, not looking too bad. No major delays have been reported on our highways or any serious accidents. Otherwise, if you are heading towards Tembisa, Irene area, traffic is a bit sluggish. This is on the R21 northbound approaching Nalmapius Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So the Matlanga Commission is currently ongoing, and we've been watching rather closely. I've been trying to watch as much as I can, and I realize that Sergeant Fanny Nkosi is back on the witness stand. And Thabiso Goba is the EW reporter who's been following this story. It's the 6th day that Sergeant Fanny Nkosi has been testifying, and Thabiso, did we expect the sergeant's testimony to be this long? I mean, I know that he was desperate not to testify at some point. Then he really wanted to testify behind closed doors. But it's day number 6 of him testifying. Did we expect this?
Not necessarily, but I think once obviously you follow the... good afternoon, Khomoto. But we didn't expect him to testify for this long. But I think once you follow the trail of evidence and the number of things that this man was involved in, then you sort of get a sense of why. You remember that Mr. Sergeant Nkosi, basically he came here to sort of answer those links that he has with these controversial businessmen like Vusimuzi Katz Matlala, Katiso Katie Mulefe, but also that relationship that he has as as a middleman to senior police officials like Richard Shibiri and General Sibiya, where he was sort of this intermediary between these controversial businessmen and these senior police officers.
Yeah.
And it now seems like he has segued now into the Tshwane municipality. And again, in the Tshwane municipality, he seems like he's also doing the same thing, where he acts as an intermediary, again, to these controversial business people, and he obviously has links to some very senior people within the Tshwane municipality. That's obviously the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Gareth Mnisi, and the Deputy Chief at the Tshwane Metro Police Department, Mr. Umashi Dlamini. He's a very busy man.
Yes.
I know people have been asking where did he get time to find criminals, but it does seem like he had a very busy schedule. We also have to just remind people that his title, he works in the organized crime unit within the Gauteng SAPS. So that's his official job, when he's obviously not being a concierge of crime like a poor man's Raymond Reddington.
I mean, I've been thinking the same thing. I've been thinking, when was he doing his own job? Because he seemed like he's such a busy man. Just talk us through him being reprimanded today, because I have felt like it's been a long time coming. I've been watching him testify, and I mean, at the point where I believe it was 2 or 3 days ago, where he was asked about, being in hospital on one of the days. This was just before the arrest of Vusmuzi Kat Matlala. And he was asked about being in hospital, and he said he couldn't remember because he's in hospital so much and he gets injured so much. I already felt like he was being evasive. And I thought that the commissioners would call him to order then, but they finally have.
I mean, I do have to say, Khomoto, that I did find the reprimand interesting. And I say interesting because you remember that yesterday, before we started yesterday's proceedings, there was a Mr. Evidence Leader, Mr. Matthew Chaskelson. He made a point of emphasizing the fact that whatever evidence, whatever testimony that Mr. Nkosi gives at the Commission of Inquiry, it cannot be used at a criminal trial. We know this obviously happens with all Commission of Inquiries. That's probably why, those wheels of justice take very slow, because whatever you say at the Commission of Inquiry cannot be used at a criminal trial. But also more importantly is that if you're testifying before the Commission of Inquiry, you also have the privilege or the right to not self-incriminate. Mr. Chaskelson explained this to Nkosi and said, if you feel that there is a question that you feel like may self-incriminate you, you do have the right to say, I don't want to incriminate myself and I won't answer. And that's why I'm saying that I found the reprimand a bit interesting. But just to speak about the reprimand is that there are at very key moments that Mr. Sergeant Nkosi, that his memory fails him, or he can't remember specific details, or he doesn't want to comment. Even when he's presented with evidence, he'll still maintain something. I think an example of what happened today is there was a tender at the Tshwane municipality. Now, this tender came out in April and it was cancelled in October.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Sergeant Nkosi says, his understanding is that the tender was cancelled in April. And then Mr. Chaskelson says, but this tender, as you can see, these documents here, it was cancelled in October. And then Mr. Nkosi is like, but I maintain to my story, I understand it was cancelled in April. So that's where the back and forth came from. And with Co-Commissioner Sesibalo saying that you can't be presented with objective, factual evidence and then stick to a story that is completely a lie, then that means you're just being uncooperative, you're not helping the commission, and you're obviously not satisfying your position as a witness in this commission to try and help it get to the bottom of obviously the criminal infiltration into law enforcement.
So yesterday there was a mention of Julius Malema, or who we assume is Julius Malema. I believe the words that were used were CIC Juju.
Yes.
Have we heard more? Because yesterday there was a question around whether he's been implicated or he was being mentioned in passing, and there hadn't been real evidence presented against him. Have we heard more today?
I'm going to sort of traverse something that maybe as a journalist that I shouldn't, and
Go ahead.
offer my opinion on matters. And obviously I do not want to try and editorialize this, but unfortunately, Khomoto, we haven't heard more on that matter. And I think there's There's a pattern here with the evidence leaders currently at the Madlanga Commission. You remember that there was an issue of Natasha, an SABC presenter,
Yes.
who was accused of being paid by Sergeant Faninkosi
Yes.
and being paid by Sergeant Faninkosi in exchange for information on Musa Kawula.
Yes.
That was around Monday or Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. We are now on Friday, and that matter hasn't come back. We don't know whether she was paid or not. On the matter of Mr. Malema, we understand that there was a list. Allegedly, this list was drawn by the EFF and Mr. Malema. It included 7 companies, and these 7 companies were being recommended for a tender. That list went through a number of senior officials until reaching the CFO.
Yeah.
We haven't gone back to that, and because we haven't gone back to that, it means we don't know whether any of the people, any of the 7 companies of that list did score any tenders. So we don't know because we haven't gone back to that. There's even this situation around the brother of Sergeant Faninkosi. We know that he was applying for tenders at the Madlanga Commission. We know that Mr. Charles Kirsten, the evidence leader, said there were some tenders that he got even though he didn't qualify for. But we don't know what those tenders were. We don't know what the value were because we haven't gone back to that. There's also this another... yesterday, I think we did a story on it about when Mr. Sergeant Faninkosi said his brother was applying for a tender at the Matthews Posa municipality in Mpumalanga, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Again, we haven't gone back to that matter. So unfortunately, there has been a number of matters that have been left in the air, and that EFF and CIC Juju matter that we can make a logical assumption that it refers to the EFF leader, Julius Malema. We haven't gone back to that matter to find that was there any link between the EFF, between Julius Malema and those companies that were sent, and most importantly, did those companies receive any tender from the Tshwane municipality? So it's a bit of a shame that we've put that out there. It has been out there and it has just been allowed to fester, and people are drawing up their own conclusions. And we're at a point where we don't have the full information where we can say that these companies from the EFF, they received X amount of money, got these tenders, and these companies are linked this way to the EFF or not.
Yeah. All right, Thabiso Koba, let's leave it there. I do hope that evidence leaders will go back to those pieces of information. They're really important pieces of information. I'm sure Julius Malema himself will want to, be exonerated if that is the case, or maybe if he is actually implicated, I suppose then he'd be very happy with the evidence leaders not going into much depth. But I do think that there shouldn't be a pattern, as Thabiso speaks about, of critical pieces of information and evidence being left in the air.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
All right, from the Madlanga Commission, which seems rather calm this afternoon, to a hive of activity that's in Fourways. It's in the Steyn City area. It's the Live Golf, and it's a tournament that's happening there for the first time on African soil, and it's happening right here in our backyard. And Lennox Wasara is the EWN sports reporter who's there. He's having lots of fun, I can tell you. Lennox, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Just talk to us about, what's been happening there this afternoon. I mean, I've already been seeing scores and people speaking about the actual matches, which is primarily why you are there.
Yeah, exactly. Komoto has been quite crazy. Yeah, I think everybody's talking about it for a reason, right? Because it really is a big event, but also the first one on South African soil ever. And what's actually making it very special is that, for all of us, it's the first time experience having lived in South Africa. So everything is very new for all of us. But I think for the fans, it's been quite epic because, the South African South Guards team playing really well, finishing today, they're currently second. Yesterday they opened and they were leading. So yeah, it does make a nice experience for the fans because they come out to watch some good golf and also to see the South Africans representing the team, Lulu Statham, Charles Schwartzel, as well as Dean Burmester and Brandon Grace, who are doing really, really well and are really lifting the South African flag as well as they are.
Yeah, and speaking about Dean Burmester, I think I came across a video of him putting on the new Bafana Bafana gear. That looked like such an iconic moment. What was going on there?
Yeah, so that hole that he put on the Bafana jersey is actually an interesting story. Is that that hole is where, it's like the party hole. So that's where all the noise happens and, people throw beers and so on. So it's almost like a real party. And so when you put on that jersey, and obviously South Africa looking forward to getting to the World Cup, everybody was like really excited. And then, you nearly aced it. I mean, it was just a few inches away from a hole-in-one. So it even got even more louder. It erupted. And yeah, you can imagine how it's been here. So a lot of people are certainly enjoying the vibe, but I think the golf has also been matching up to the level that the fans expected. And lots of young people here as well, lots of young fans. The entertainment village there's a section actually for children, so if you do bring your kids out here, they can leave them somewhere with professionals to attend to them. So yeah, so it seems like it's been very well planned, and the whole idea, I heard as well on the stats that the tournament has got 40% women attending, so which is typically higher than most golf tournaments. So yeah, they're definitely doing something right, speaking to an audience that maybe doesn't follow the game. So I'm very excited that this is happening.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, a part of the story that we cannot divorce this from is the economic impact that's expected to be felt by that area and the country. I mean, we've got guests, and these are guests with deeper pockets, it seems. I mean, I know that the numbers are not in yet, Lennox, but I'm sure you can see signs and an indication of how this is going to be boosting the economy, at least of the province and the city.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Deep Split is just a few meters away from here, and they're already benefiting quite a bit. A lot of the suppliers have been using some of the personnel from around the area. And then also, I mean, I think some of the forecasts for this tournament beforehand was around about R1 billion worth of activity just for the next 4 days around the tournament. So obviously ticket sales is one element of it, and then there's obviously the hospitality element that comes with it, and then there's a massive supply chain movement that happens with it. So cumulatively, we'll obviously have to get the statistics after the tournament, but they did forecast around a billion rand. So I'm not surprised by the way they've set this place up. It's world class. I've never seen grandstands this big. I've never seen such a vibe this big, and I've been following golf for over 20 years now. So this is kind of a first experience for me, and I think for many other people who might follow the game, they'll love to come out here. And for those who don't, you'll still have a great time just in terms of like the entertainment around the sport here. So it's a merger between, it's a connection point between sport, entertainment, and the performance element of it. So yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful day here. The weather's holding up.
Yeah.
Many people are looking forward to a massive concert a little bit later with our very own Black Coffee at about 5:30. So Calvin Harris comes through tomorrow on the decks. So yeah, it's going to be quite a vibe. So I know Kabazela loves his golf as well. I'm sure he'll make it turn out.
He's smiling from ear to ear, I can tell you, listening to you there. Thank you so much. Lennox Masara is the EWN sports reporter, is out at the Live Golf. Can I just say, I'm not a golf follower, an avid golf follower, but that sounds like one of the places I wish I had prioritized and I wish I had actually planned to go. It sounds absolutely amazing. If you're going, have fun. It sounds like it's going to be quite the party. All right, it's just after 3:30. Time for Eyewitness News headlines with Mongezi Gogo. Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you, Khomoto. Now, MPs are concerned that the proposal to accommodate political party staff in parliamentary villages could crowd out members of parliament. MPs also say moving the management of villages from the Department of Public Works to legislature's own management could overwhelm the capacity of parliament. Now, the matter came up during discussions before the ad hoc committee on the review and amendment of the Parliamentary Villages Management Board Act. Baba Londense has more.
The proposed amendments of the Parliamentary Villages Management Board Act are to give Parliament more power over the management of its parliamentary villages, which are still handled by Public Works. One of the proposals is that staff members who support various parties should also be accommodated at the villages. This is because of the high cost of living in Cape Town and to ensure they can support their committees reliably. Committee member Sihle Ngubane.
So what we need to know is that has Parliament assessed whether the accommodating of political party staff in parliamentary village could crowd out members or compromise the original purpose of the villages? That needs to be still ascertained.
But most members agree that the board must fall under Parliament's control, not under Public Works, which has its own challenges. Baba Londense, Eyewitness News.
The Forestry, Fisheries and Environment Ministry says it is willing to support and work with the custodian of the previously dispossessed land in Umzimkhulu in KZN to create new economic opportunities. President Cyril Ramaphosa is in the area today to hand over title deeds to those communities. Now, the over 17,000 hectare of land will be reinstated to 4 claimant communities. Some of the beneficiaries have been hoping for this day for the past 50 years. Minister Willie Okamp.
This presents a new future filled with hope and lots of opportunities. Not only for the title deed holders, but for future generations, because as custodians, you will leave it to them. They will inherit this land, they will walk this land, they will work this land, and they will benefit from this land.
The Western Cape government has assured its residents that there's no fuel shortage in the province despite concerns linked to the Middle East conflict. Concerns are mounting over South Africa's fuel security because of rising global oil prices, which threaten steep increases at the pump. But the provincial administration insists there is more than enough fuel in reserve to meet demand. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
Western Cape Premier Ellen Windy says the Provincial Disaster Management Centre is actively monitoring the situation alongside key partners in the fuel industry, agriculture, emergency services and Eskom. Windy says they are aware of isolated supply issues that have been reported, mainly affecting farmers in the Garden Route and the West Coast. However, the Premier has stressed that this is not due to lack of fuel, but rather delays by certain suppliers.
We just also want to put out a message that says it is unethical for suppliers to delay the delivery of fuel or to hoard or to hold back fuel supplies.
Windy says these cases are being addressed with the Fuel Industry Association and encourage residents to remain calm. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And India is set to tackle obesity with low-cost generic versions of injections like Ozempic. This will allow domestic pharmaceutical companies to release cheaper copies or generics that could splash prices by more than half and rapidly expand access for people in India and eventually in other countries too. The move comes after an active ingredient in drugs such as Ozempic expired today. According to reports, the timing aligns with India's shifting healthcare landscape. A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures drop between 16 and 18 degrees, peaking at highs of between 24 and 27.
Well, at this stage in the Vosloorus Leondale area, you can still expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 in both directions between Heidelberg Road and Berry Marais. In Brakpan, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic. N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City.
The top story in EWN, MPs are concerned that the proposal to accommodate political party staff in parliamentary villages could crowd out members of parliament.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
This is quite crazy. A CFO is busy discussing tenders with a Sergeant Nkosi who is very compromised. 80 million rand, his net worth. He's only 36 years old, has only worked in government, has not declared his interests, and he is still in charge in the city of Tshwane. How does the mayor even explain that? How does the city council explain that? I was shocked by Action SA's statement that said the allegations against the CFO are politically convenient. What do you mean? He was busy talking about tenders with a private citizen whose brother is applying for the same tenders. He has no business doing that. That's conflict of interest. And you saying the allegations are politically convenient? Maybe it makes sense why there's no action against him, because he's got some level of protection.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
The classic burger has leveled up from its fast food roots. It's no longer just 2 buns, lettuce, and a slap of tomato sauce. Think ramen burgers, paratha burgers, Japanese rice burgers, and Korea's umami bulgogi, bold gourmet, and a feast on Instagram. In this week's exciting episode of MasterChef South Africa, elevated burgers get even more a bite in a stackable pressure test. It's about to get saucy when personality meets patty, and buttery avocados raise the bar. MasterChef South Africa Season 6 continues this Sunday at 6, only on ETV.
We're on the ground and in the air with Thulani Sijo, founder of Take a Pic Drones. What's the flight plan for your connectivity?
The need for stable network connectivity is an absolute must in my field.
And with Telkom Business Fiber and Flexon, Thulani uploads high-res tower inspections and navigates seamlessly on the go.
Get Stream Connect Fiber from 399 Rand per month and Flexon 4 Pro from 219 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints, Affordable, lasting luxury.
Mzansi, forget the weather forecast. Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a staggering 155 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for 107 million rand and Powerball Plus for 48 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon, Fomoto and team. I would love to attend a Premier League game, particularly a Manchester United game, any kind of game, as long as it's Manchester United live. I'm a huge fan, and I'm a girl, and most people judge me every time I say, for my honeymoon, I'd like to go to England and watch Manchester United. That is my honeymoon. It's not even a holiday for me, but if I got that for my honeymoon specifically, I'd be the happiest wife on this earth. Thanks for a great show.
Hi, Hamoter. So for me, what's been on the bucket list with the Afro Nation, and especially last year, it was just so amazing, and seeing all the pictures and so many South Africans there as well, and the vibes, and I was like, I gotta be there the next year. And I was worried about the lineup, if it's gonna be just as awesome as last year, but guess what? It is just as on fire. So I think definitely it has been a bucket list exercise for me, and probably maybe one of the last 2 festivals I'll attend in my young adult life. And yeah, I just bought a ticket yesterday for a friend, and it's confirmed, and we are going there. I bought my ticket last year already, and I can't wait. Looking forward to that one. Afro Nation and Boju Girl.
I actually love seeing South Africans prioritize festivals around the world. It's just so beautiful to see, because we are a people that likes to have a good time, right? We like a party, and we like to just, go out and have a good time. And the fact that we're willing to put our money where the mouth is, right? And to spend our money for this is absolutely amazing. I've also been seeing a lot of South Africans going to Ibiza as well, quite a bit. It's everyone just is raving about it. I also see a lot of South Africans who are willing to pay big bucks to go watch their favorite artists abroad, on stages abroad. So that's really cool. In fact, I was saying that one of the things on my bucket list is watching Beyonce live. I didn't get to see her when she was here for, what was it called? The Global Citizen, I think. I didn't get to see her when she was here for that. So I'm really hoping I'll be able to travel to see her somewhere else in the world. And then the lady who wants to go watch Man United, you should be besties with my husband, because in my house, all I hear is, I need to go to Old Trafford. Old Trafford this, Old Trafford that, right? And I do see that it's on many people's bucket lists as well. I'm loving your WhatsApps that are coming through. Thank you so much for your voice notes. Afro Nation is one that's featuring quite a bit on the WhatsApp line as well. People speaking about that. There's also Coachella, which we spoke about. Those are all festivals around the world. Of course, we're speaking about the festival that you, or sporting event that you must go to before you leave this earth, before you die. What is that one sporting event? What is that one festival that you are prioritizing and that you're even saving for? Get in touch with us, 011-883-0702.
EWN Sport.
All right, let's take some sport. Tolakele Mganga, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso. Well, New Zealand have taken a 2-1 lead in their T20 series against South Africa following an 8-wicket win. Having won the toss, Lockie Ferguson conceded just 9 runs from his 4 overs as the Proteas were restricted to 136 for 9. And in response, Tom Latham top scored with 63 as the Black Caps reached their victory target with 22 balls remaining. Speaking after the loss, Keshav Maharaj admitted they're struggling to adapt to the conditions.
I think it's about focusing on ourselves and how we're going to go about our games. I think as much as opposition do change, I still think we're searching for that template as to how to go about our business. We've had 2 opportunities in the sense that we've batted first and batted second. Chased 90, was a little bit nervy, and then, got bowled out for 90 chasing, and then today we got bowled out for 136. We really need to find a sort of way to combat these bowlers and adapt to the conditions sooner rather than later.
It wasn't much better for the women as Sophie Devine's 8th half-century led New Zealand to a 6-wicket victory in the third T20. Sent a target of 150 to win. The White Red Ferns reached it in 18.4 overs to take a 2-1 lead in the 5-match series. Kayla Reyneke had earlier given South Africa's innings a late boost after scoring an unbeaten 34 off 20 balls to take the total to 149 for 7.
I think it's a tough loss to take, but I think with the bat we probably didn't execute the middle overs. But yeah, credits to New Zealand. They're in better. And yeah, they built a proper partnership there at the end. But yeah, and in the bowling we just completely lost it a bit, also there at the end.
Michael Carrick admits he has no idea when Matthijs de Ligt will be fit to play again for Manchester United as he continues to struggle with a back injury. De Ligt wasn't ever present in the team's defence for the first 13 games of the season, but suffered the problem in early December. At the time, Ruben Amorim said it was a small thing and he expected de Ligt back before the end of the year, but he's now been out of action for almost 4 months.
Honestly, it's difficult to say. I think just because it's taken that much time. I can't give you any more on it really. It's one of those things with back that sometimes you think it's all right and then all of a sudden it's not quite right. So we're just kind of being patient and working through it, and we'll just have to see. We'll obviously give him time and trying to get him back as quick as we can. But it's really difficult to say. I'm not trying to hide anything. I just literally at the moment we don't know. So we'll have to wait and see.
And Bryson DeChambeau is the sole leader at Live Golf after a second round 14 under par, which has given him a 2-shot lead ahead of Brandon Grace and David Pugh. Talk GC tops the team leaderboard by 2 strokes over homeside Southern Guards GC. That's at 36 under par after round 2. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com. Karabo, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khumotso. Well, at this stage in the afternoon, there's about a 30-minute delay. That's if you're heading towards Vosloorus, Leondale on the N3 in both directions. This is between Heidelberg Road and Berry Marais. There's a police operation happening there. There's also about a 20-minute delay in Brakpan. This is on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City due to ongoing roadworks. Still in Ekurhuleni, this time in Edenvale heading towards Bedford View, slow-moving traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange, while in Sunning Hill, traffic heavily backed up on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell Drive. And in Cederberg, Pretoria, there's an accident scene on the R80 southbound. This is before the Hairpin Bend, causing some delays from Brits Road. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702 Podcast
on primemediaplus.com.
It is 13 minutes before 3 and I'm seeing some of your WhatsApps coming in. I see someone here saying that they've always wanted to go to the Formula One. I think, yes, that's one sporting event that's very popular, very expensive, I hear. So it's one of those that you would have to save for. I see someone here speaking about the NBA League as well. Yeah, all these interesting sporting events that people want to go to or see before they die, or I should say on their bucket lists. All right, Tola Mganga, good afternoon. We're speaking about a sporting event or a festival that you just must go to.
A festival, it would be 2. I would love to do Carnival in Rio and also to do Mardi Gras. I think it's done in New Orleans in America. Yes, I'd love to do those 2. And then I'd love to, me and my friend always talk about this, I'd love to do like a Euro summer and it have to be towards the end of the season, where I get to watch one game at Old Trafford. She gets to watch her Real Madrid in action, and then we also go to the UEFA Champions League final. Hopefully with both our teams involved in it and my team winning.
Okay, so you're also the Old Trafford girlie.
Oh, absolutely.
What is it about Old Trafford?
Because
I don't get it. Okay,
It's my team.
You're Man United, right?
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
imagine you get to watch this team that you always watch on the TV and have ruined pretty much your whole life. But now you get to watch it live and have them ruin your day.
Your
It's
heart-
amazing.
But so you really want that heartbreak, huh? You want to...
Unfortunately, with sport, it's what it comes with.
I hear you.
They give you the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Look, it sounds like quite the thing. And I realize Man United people are among the most resilient people. Now, Tolagele Mganga is a Man United and Kaizer Chiefs fan. So shame, her poor heart. I can only imagine. We are taking more of your calls and we're taking your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Let's be honest. Africa could be doing way better, but complaining won't change anything. Getting involved will. If you care about Africa's future and want to be part of something that disrupts the status quo, then this is for you. Download the Our Platform app, which focuses on problem solving, global competitiveness, and self-love. Africa is changing the narrative. Don't get left behind. Download Our Platform. Say hello to the new look Africa.
Stand a chance to win a share of a red-hot 3 million rand with the Hollywood Bets Spinner Zonke jackpot race. Enter the chase and enjoy a feast of fun where every spin could unlock riveting rewards. To start your adventure, bet 2 rand or more on selected Habanero games every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. The racing revolution starts now. Dive in and prepare to take top spot.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Don't miss the 8th Annual Human Rights Festival at Constitution Hill from 26 to 29 March. We're bringing together social justice organizations, artists, and the community for 4 days of impact and inspiration. Join us for dialogues, exhibitions, Kiddies Village, the Book Fair, Film Festival, a music element with Friends of Blanco, 1,000 Drums in Solidarity, Gauteng Curator Makers Market, more music, and the We the People Walk and Fit City Run. Visit www.humanrightsfestival.co.za for more information.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Minister, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be well into the Easter weekend, and many of us are dreading the statistics that will come from our roads in terms of accidents and fatalities. What's the plan?
Bongani, we are launching our plan for March and April today, in fact. And obviously, key focus areas are going to have to be roadworthiness of vehicles, speed, drunken driving, and of course we've going to have a major focus on pedestrians because they still account for more than 50% of road deaths.
Minister of Transport, Barbara Creasy, appreciate your time.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702. 702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It is 7:02 Afternoon Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. And 7:02 in Conversation with Bulumko Nelane is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development. So Gauteng has launched its Gauteng City Regional Economic Growth and Development Plan 2030. And it's a roadmap that's aimed at accelerating economic growth, attracting investment and creating jobs across the province over the next 5 years. The plan brings together government, business and other stakeholders around a coordinated strategy with a strong focus on implementing key sectors. Today, we're joined by Bulumko Nelane, who is the Deputy Director General at the Gauteng Economic Development Department. And he's here to unpack what this plan means for the province and its future. Bulumko, thank you so much for your time. So, Gauteng has always been known as the economic hub for the country, contributing over 30% to South Africa's GDP. But there has been recently a concern, really, around muted economic growth and unemployment. Is this what the 2030 plan is expected to address?
Yes, good afternoon, Khomotso, and good afternoon to your listeners. Yes, indeed, this plan is intended to respond to the triple challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Just to look at inequality, for instance, we know that in Gauteng we've got over almost 1 million households living under the food poverty line of 760 rands per month. Now that's a lot by any standard, and in a sense it's a combination of things that has caused that situation. We have just emerged out of COVID-19. And post COVID-19, we went straight into tariffs. Now we're in a war. So the situation has been very complex for us. And the fact that almost half of the economy of South Africa is concentrated in Gauteng means that you are going to have influx of people into Gauteng looking for better lives and so on.
Yeah.
So those are some of the real challenges that have propelled us to develop this plan.
Yeah. And let's go through what's in the plan. I visualize it as a bag, so to speak, of goodies inside it. So what's in there?
The plan really is anchored on 10 pillars. Basically, we're looking at reindustrializing the economy. We are looking at promoting trade and investment, transforming our space to make sure that the market and the production sites can interface easily, building infrastructure, because energy, water, and all other challenges of infrastructure are impacting the economy, skills, small business development, and so on. So those are some of the pillars that are driving the plan. And then we've identified a set of sectors, 10 sectors that are priority sectors for us to make the impact we want.
Yeah.
And they straddle from auto sector all the way to cannabis industrialization. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm particularly interested in the manufacturing side. I mean, whenever you drive around the Ekurhuleni area, which has been known to be the industrial part of the city and the province, it does seem like there's been a slowing down of economic activity there. So what are we planning on the manufacturing side?
Yes. So a couple of things have happened really that have led to deindustrialization. One of them is that we've seen a surge in services jobs or the services industry broadly because of low barriers to entry and the fact that it's accessible for the unemployed really. So services has been driving most of the growth. But for all intents and purposes, manufacturing is a backbone of any real economy. That's the crux. That's where it happens. And a number of things have happened. One of the things that has happened is that we've seen manufacturing migrate to countries like China and so on. But the industrial capacity that we had is still there. We might have to upskill more people to be able to manufacture. We might have to look at competing strategies for competing with other markets that are beating us at the manufacturing game. And basically also look north, because part of what we've realized is that at the doorstep of South Africa is a huge market, the African continent. And by 2050, we all know that is going to be the youngest and the biggest population in the world, and therefore we must be ready for that. So that's one of the things that we are looking forward to, getting the right skills, investing in the technologies, making sure that people have got access to the right industrial infrastructure so that they produce for the market they have.
Yeah. One may be listening and thinking, we've heard similar plans before, economic growth plan. We've heard the jargon and the words used before towards bettering the economic stance and standing of the province. But what's so different about this plan, the 2030 plan?
So what we've done differently this time around is, firstly, is to bring together or knit together government spheres, so local government, province and national, to look at what can we do together to make this economic engine work better. Then horizontally we looked at what we can do with business, And business said, look, these are the pain points. This is what is making us not to work well in the auto sector. This is not making us not to work well in this sector and that sector. So it's really based on practical experience of industry players, and it's based on what government has in the kitty. So it is co-created, unlike other plans where you get a pool of experts to sit together, draft a plan. This one has been government and industry sitting together and saying, how do we make this economy work better for all of us? And that for me is an ingenious starting point for any plan to be implementable.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've got the Gauteng Investment Conference that's coming up. I believe it's in April.
Yes.
What can we expect from that? And in terms of the plan, are you going to be, exploring the plan and selling it as well at the conference?
Yes. So just last year, just to step a bit back, last year we mobilized 311 billion, right, which outpaced our target of 300 billion. This year we've set a target of 200 billion. Out of the last year's target or the pledges that were made, 80 billion has already been realized, right, in investment. So we're chasing the rest and making sure that we convert the pledges into real projects. So this year's target is 200 billion and it's Afrocentric. We're looking at how we can partner with industry players on the continent to make sure that not only Gauteng grows, but Gauteng grows together with the rest of the continent.
All right. Bulumko, thank you so much for your time and thank you for coming into studio. That was Bulumko Nelana. He's the Deputy Director General at the Gauteng Department of Economic Development, speaking to us about the Economic Growth and Development Plan 2030. 702 in conversation with Bulumko Nelana was brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. This is EWN.
Julius Mkwanazi's appearance before Madlanga Commission postponed, and UK Health Agency says vaccine against recent meningitis should work. A very good afternoon, I'm Monkey Zikoko. The Madlanga Commission has postponed the testimony of suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkwanazi to allow him time to deal with the loss of a family member. Mkwanazi was due to testify before the Commission on Monday. However, his testimony has now been moved to the 14th of April. The postponement was not opposed by the evidence leaders. Mkwanazi's lawyer, Nkosana Khumalo.
Tomorrow, Mr. Mkwanazi will be burying his mother, and unfortunately, his state of mind is not correct at the moment, and without any further ado, commissioners, I need not repeat what has already been said. We request the commission to grant the postponement to the 14th of April.
Police have launched investigations into a deadly head-on collision in Ekurhuleni that claimed the lives of 2 people, including a young girl, and left 4 others seriously injured. EMPD officers from the Clayville precinct responded to the crash at the intersection of Olifantsfontein Road and Southview earlier today, where a 30-year-old Audi driver, allegedly under the influence of alcohol, collided with a Toyota Avanza before fleeing the scene. A young girl, believed to be between the ages of 10 and 12, and the Avanza driver were both declared dead at the scene. EMS spokesperson William Ntladi.
4 other passengers sustained serious but stable injuries, and they were then medically treated on scene prior transportation to nearest medical facility. Rescue team had to use specialized hydraulic rescue equipment to access and recover both deceased patients from the wreckage.
In Limpopo, Santaco has announced its newly elected provincial leadership following a successful elective conference in Polokwane. Chairperson Lisiba Ngwepe has been re-elected to lead the structure alongside a mix of returning and new members in the Provincial Executive Committee. The taxi body says the new leadership will focus on strengthening the industry and expanding economic opportunities for operators across the value chain. Santaco Limpopo spokesperson Sipho Maloma says a key priority will also be tackling the rise of illegal 7-seater vehicles, which he says continue to undermine the livelihoods of compliant operators.
The new administration is committed to working collaboratively to develop sustainable regulatory enforcement solutions to protect the integrity of the industry. Santaco Limpopo remains committed to unity, transformation, and professionalism of the taxi industry.
And in the UK, the Health Security Agency says results have confirmed that the meningitis vaccine currently being offered in Kent should provide protection against the strain identified. This comes after the agency completed an initial genetic analysis of the strain isolated during the outbreak. This latest update comes after young people visited a nightclub at the centre of the deadly outbreak this past weekend. 2 people died as a result. The deceased are a 21-year-old University of Kent student and an 18-year-old high school student. According to reports, the agency says it will carry out further scientific research. Gold is trading at $4,624.57 an ounce. The rand is at 16.98 to the dollar, 22.67 to the pound, 19.59 to the euro. Brent oil is at $108.21 a barrel.
Brakpan roadworks causing about a 20-minute delay on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City, while in Bryanston there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. N1 southbound from the Bethune Change to Winnie Mandela Drive. In Sunninghill, traffic heavily backed up on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell Drive.
In your sport, New Zealand take 2-1 lead in their respective T20 series against South Africa. Michael Carrick unsure if Matthias de Ligt will play again this season amid debilitating back injury. And Guillermo Ochoa called up to Mexico's squad with an eye on a historic 6th World Cup appearance.
A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 17 degrees, peaking at a high of 24. Pretoria 18 and 27, while Vereeniging drops to 16, reaching a high of 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Madlanga Commission has postponed the testimony of suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi to allow him time to deal with the loss of a family member.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back to 702 Afternoon Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise and I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. It is the second hour of the show and we've got quite a bit coming your way. In just a bit, we're going to be having a conversation, unpacking what's been happening at the TRC cases inquiry and all the events that have been happening around that, because there's been a lot of moving parts to that story. EWN reporter Dimakatso Leshuru is going to be talking us through all of that. She's been covering both stories quite closely. And then, of course, later on in the hour, we're going to be having Randall's One Song. I'm looking forward to that. There's quite a jam, and I'm sure you'll want to find out what song that is. That is coming up in the next hour. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. The number to dial is 011-883-0702, or get in touch with us on WhatsApp on 072-702-1702.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Khomotso. So for me, what's been on the bucket list with the Afro Nation, and especially last year, it was just so amazing, and seeing all the pictures and so many South Africans there as well, and the vibes, and I was like, I gotta be there the next year. And I was worried about the lineup, if it's gonna be just as awesome as last year, but guess what? It is just as on fire. So I think definitely it has been a bucket list exercise for me, and probably maybe one of the last 2 festivals I'll attend in my young adult life. And yeah, I just bought a ticket yesterday for a friend, and it's confirmed, and we are going there. I bought my ticket last year already, and I can't wait. Looking forward to that one. Afro Nation and Boju Girl.
Yeah, we're speaking about the festival or sporting event that you would love to go to, that you just have to see. And there's a number of those. I have been hearing a number of you coming with those. I think it was Coachella is a popular one, as well as the going to Old Trafford is a popular sporting one as well. I do think that I'd love to hear from people that have been to Dirty December. You know, my colleagues, they didn't know. Even Karabo is even looking at me funny because he doesn't know what I'm talking about. Karabo, you need to find out. I told you. So Dirty December is the event that happens in Ghana or Nigeria.
Yes,
so the two countries are competing. So so the Ghanaians say that's theirs because it was a Ghanaian person who was living in Nigeria who came up with it. And then the Nigerians also say that Dirty December is theirs. But they don't say dirty. They say dirty. Dirty December. It's in the pronunciation. It's like how we say December.
100%.
You see, yes. So that's one that I'm really looking forward to. In fact, I have seen most South Africans going to West Africa, so going to Ghana or going to Nigeria for that. Thank you so much for your WhatsApps and thank you for your calls. It seems that many of you would love to attend a number of festivals and events around the world.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now. Karabo, it is a Friday. I'm sure the roads are looking much busier.
Yeah, no, looking pretty busy, particularly in the Ikuruleni area. If you're heading towards Brakpan, we still have those roadworks causing about a 20-minute delay. N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City. Edenvale also traveling towards Bedfordview. Traffic a bit sluggish. R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Kiluli's interchange. While in Bryanston, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Four Ways. N1 southbound from the Pekru interchange to Winnie Mandela Drive. In Sunning Hill, traffic also heavily backed up on Witkoppen Road between Rivonia Road and Maxwell. And finally, in Cederberg, Pretoria, there's an accident scene heading into the CBD. This is on the R80 southbound before the hairpin bend, slowing down traffic from Brits Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Evidence before the Madlanga Commission has shown that Tswane's embattled Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi may have directly assisted his friend in scoring a multi-million rand tender. Mnisi has featured prominently in the testimony of Gauteng Corps Sergeant Faninkosi.
Kosi admitted to the Madlanga Commission he has lobbied Mnisi to, quote, open doors for his brother.
I've raised it with him that my brother is busy applying in different jobs there by Tswane and is not getting any. Then he said, no, maybe something is not okay. Can you please send his vendor number so that I must check what is it?
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
On the go and your stomach suddenly cannot keep or not keeping up, that burn, bloating or reflux could be symptoms of an ulcer. Stress can make it feel even worse. Ulcenic offers triple action relief by coating your stomach lining with a protective layer and works for up to 6 hours. No prescription needed. Choose between suspension, tablets or effervescent tablets. Keep an eye on the shelf for Ulcenic's new packaging. A fresh new look outside, same trusted relief on the inside. Visit the Ulcenic Facebook page for more.
Aziz Shege, be in the game. Show your love for D-Ski with Hollywood Bets. We're taking the soccer season to new heights. You could win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Hilux double cab or Toyota Starlet Cross. All you have to do is bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture online or at your nearest branch. Bet now and strike for glory.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
For Mamotsatsi and Kensani of Design News, a beautiful room starts with a rock-solid connection. Tell us what was slowing down your growth.
It would have to be slow network coverage.
Now, Telkom Business Fiber lets the team process large renders while the landline keeps supplier calls coming in.
Get Call Light Fiber from 655 Rand per month and unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702 was in conversation with pharmaceutical company Sanofi to find out more about respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, and how you can protect our babies and children.
RSV is the respiratory syncytial virus, right? So as it says, it's a respiratory tract disease. So it is a common seasonal virus that affects the airways and the lungs, so your nose, your throat, and in severe cases, it moves down to the lungs, and that can cause pneumonia, it can cause bronchiolitis, right? And that's really severe cases where infants are hospitalized.
Visit primemediaplus.com to hear the full interview. 702 in conversation with Sanofi. Together against RSV.
702 Podcast
on primemediaplus.com.
Welcome back. It is 14 minutes after 4, and this is 702 Afternoon Drive. My name is Khomazo Modise. I'm in for John Perlman. So a bit of news coming out from the U.S. Chuck Norris, U.S. martial artist and actor. Chuck Norris has passed away at the age of 86. According to the publications that I've been seeing online, including People, he died today at a hospital. It seems ENCA is going that the hospital was in Hawaii, saying Hawaiian hospital. But yes, I mean, what a life.
Gee, I still can't believe it because, I mean, this guy was indestructible. I thought even death was scared of him, you know?
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Really?
I mean, I don't have a lot of memory of all his movies. You must know Chuck Norris. What do you mean you don't know Chuck Norris? And Jono, because I think you're a funny guy, you remember all those Chuck Norris jokes that we all had?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many Chuck Norris jokes. I mean, but he was also like one of the original tough movie guys, right? Like he was in the Delta Force movies.
Yes.
And those were really, really cool. And then later that series, Walker, Texas Ranger. And then, as I said, all the Chuck Norris jokes. I mean, if you remember a great Chuck Norris joke, please do send us a voice note on it. But here's a little clip of him taking some of those jokes that people used to say and having a bit of fun with it himself.
And I would bend down and I petted him, and all of a sudden you hear this like that. So the trainer says, "Get up very slowly and back up." So the tiger did. He slowly got up and backed out.
Did you know that I can build a snowman out of rain?
You know, Chuck, I hear that when you do a push-up, you're not really pushing yourself up. You're pushing the earth down.
Correct. Absolutely. Chuck Norris never uses a stunt double, except during crime scenes. When the boogeyman goes to sleep every night, he checks his closet for Chuck Norris.
Did you know that I got bit by a king cobra? And after 5 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died.
Well, man, what a life. I'm seeing here on Instagram, it's also been confirmed. A pretty lengthy message there. It's with heavy hearts that our family shares the sudden passing of our beloved Chuck Norris yesterday morning. While we'd like to keep the circumstances private, please know that he was surrounded by his family and was at peace. They also do confirm that he passed away after a recent hospitalization, and the family says they're very grateful for the prayers. I mean, yeah, listen, I can see many of you are already sending us your voice notes about Chuck Norris, and I'm sure it's because you remember a Chuck Norris joke. In fact, here's one. Chuck Norris doesn't wear a watch. He decides what time it is. Keep them coming. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So here's a story that I really thought that we should explore quite a bit. And it's the story of the ongoing TRC cases inquiry. Now, the TRC cases inquiry is meant to be investigating the reasons behind why there has not been prosecution of TRC cases. In 2003, when the final report was handed over to President Thabo Mbeki at the time, there was an indication of about 3,000 cases that should be further investigated and prosecuted. But, I mean, we are, 23 years later? Am I counting right? Is my math not mathing? 13 years later, there still has not been any prosecution. And I think we've seen one or two cases making their way to the courts. There's a recollection of one that just was finalized recently in the Benoni Magistrates Court. And the reality is that many families have still been waiting for justice. And the question is, why? Why has there not been prosecution of these cases? Now, at the same time, there's been other moving parts with this story, and it's the court cases that have been happening with former Presidents Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma, who are also taking the commission to court. They're taking particularly the chairperson, Justice Sisi Khampepe, to court for her to recuse herself. And in something that I think we've never seen before, they're being supported by President Cyril Ramaphosa, who appointed Khampepe. So someone who's here to help us make sense of it all, because she's been following this story quite closely, is Dimakatso Leshoro, EWN reporter. She's in studio with us. Dimakatso, thank you so much for your time. I want us to start with the court case, because that's what we saw at the start of the week. From Monday, the former presidents Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma approached the Johannesburg High Court with a clear bid. They want Justice Sisi Khampepe to recuse herself, and they've given reasons why.
Yeah, basically they say that she is biased, that, there is a reasonable apprehension of bias on her part because she was involved with the TRC and because of her role at the NPA, which was a very short stint as a deputy NDPP. So that's basically has been the case, essentially, to say that, because of those roles, they don't believe that she would come to a fair conclusion at the end of the matter.
And I mean, so we've heard them explore this theme quite a bit. They made the same arguments before the actual commission when they applied to the commissioners for her recusal. But what's been her response? Because I understand, Dimakatso, that President Cyril Ramaphosa has already had said that she should recuse herself when he realized her involvement in the TRC process. But why is she insisting and basically saying she doesn't want to recuse herself?
It's a weird story, Khamutso, because you would have thought that the president, with all the resources at his disposal, would have done due diligence before appointing Sisi Khampepe to know what role she played, and if she was indeed conflicted, to be able to sit there independently and chair this thing. So they are saying that they are not opposed to the application by the two presidents, and now are saying that because of the controversy around this issue, she is bringing the commission into disrepute, and that the public trusts in the actual process of the commission because of the issues or that they've been raised by the former presidents. She should then recuse herself. But she said, look, there is no basis. I mean, the cases are limited to a certain time from 2003. And by that time, she says that she was no longer in the NPA. There's nothing from her point of view that shows that she is conflicted in this thing. So she, from what I gather, wants them to show any legitimate reason as to why they think that she should not oversee this case.
But wouldn't you expect that because it is the president who appointed her to be the chair of this commission, if the person who appointed her is now saying, please recuse yourself, then she would willingly step down? Is there a reason why she's defying, it seems, even the president who appointed her?
We were having a big discussion among our as colleagues about why is it that she's insisting, and some people are saying, oh, maybe she feels like she's the only person who can do and oversee this case. But we don't actually know. I haven't seen anything that says this is the reason why I specifically should oversee this matter, outside of just rebutting some of the arguments that have been made by the former presidents.
And then what does this mean for the commission? Because that's still ongoing. We've had sittings this week of the commission where evidence has been heard. Could we find ourselves in a situation here where if the Johannesburg High Court rules in favor of the three presidents, that we could have a commission that must start from scratch?
That's one of the concerns that's been raised by the families about the implications of this, because at the start, I think earlier, just before the presidency issued a statement talking about which also we just left it at maybe they used a wrong wording when they were saying that, once the case has been decided, then the commission will continue, which one could have read, or for example, people from the commission, some of them were raising concerns about what does the statement mean. Does it mean that they must pause until this case has been decided, but they have not been interdicted, so there's no reason for them that forces them to stop. So the case, obviously, the hearings continue, but the families are raising concerns about this because they've waited for so long. And what happens is Sisi Khampepe now has to be removed and somebody else, or either one of the two commissions takes over. It's not clear at this point. What we know is that the commission will definitely continue, but whether it will start from scratch because you have a new chairperson or not, at this point, is not clear.
And then talk to us about some of the evidence that's been heard this week. I know that last week we ended with a bit of a bang where we heard testimony from Vusi Pikoli as well, who was testifying. Have we heard more of that evidence?
We have. I must admit, we've not been able to follow the case. I mean, it resumed yesterday, and we couldn't because on Monday and Tuesday it didn't sit for obvious reasons. Yesterday they had a very short hearing, a very short day yesterday. So I don't know for sure what's happened this week. We haven't kept up to date. I mean, Vusi Pikoli, as you know, Khomuso, was one of those key witnesses that came, and because he then said that Madlanga, he got a commission from, not Madlanga, sorry, but from Bridget Mabandla.
Listen, we were bound to make those
from the former minister Bridget Mabandla saying you need to stop this. So he was the one who plays that political interference, because the former NPA head Buleleng Ngcuka had said that he had not had a direct minister who ever political interference, but there was resistance from the NPA. Vusi Pikoli then came and said, actually, the minister told me there were meetings with Zola Skweyiya and Bridget Mabandla and them saying that you need to stop this. Do you know what I mean?
All right. Well, we are expecting to hear more testimony at that TRC cases inquiry. Dimakasi Lusholo, thank you so much for your time. It's truly bizarre. I mean, 23 years later, we still haven't seen the cases being prosecuted. We still haven't seen, people being brought to book. And we've heard from the likes of Vusi Pikoli and others about, that clear lack of political will and a decision that was made not to prosecute these apartheid era cases. And I do think that there seems to be a strong pushback for these cases not to be explored. It sounds to me like there is an attempt to hold back this commission as much as they can so that we don't get to the heart of a decision that seems to have been made not to prioritize these apartheid era crimes. I do know that the EWN team is going to continue covering that story. As I said, it's a story with many, many moving parts. What we do now is we wait for that judgment from the Johannesburg High Court on whether Justice Sisi Khampepe must recuse herself, and then we wait to find out what happens afterwards. Do we continue with the commission with a new chair? Must it start, as they say in court language, de novo, or do we see a replacement from the commissioners that are currently sitting in that commission? I'm sure we'll have more over the next few days.
EWN Business.
It's 27 minutes past 4. Stivovo, you are covering Vusi Pikoli quite a bit during your time.
Mandy Wiener was the expert on it, but yes. And just to say, having looked at the TRC cases story for 20 years, I think you're right. They don't want the investigation, and whatever happens in the High Court, they will appeal. because it's all about delay, and that's all they need to do.
Sure. Okay. Well, what you can't delay are the monies here, right?
Yeah.
We want to hear what's the rand looking like.
So I'm afraid we would need Chuck Norris to sort out this oil price, and he is no longer with us. Which is actually quite sad.
It is.
It's also literally the end of the world if Chuck Norris goes. I mean, we are living in end times. But yeah, so the oil price still above $100 a barrel, and that having an impact. There's a little bit of bounce in the JSE, not much. It's up 0.26%. Now, when you consider we've been down so dramatically over the last 2 weeks, it's really nothing. 110,858, the ore share. Financials are up 0.44. Industrials are up 0.21. Resources are up 0.09. Gold around about 4,600, platinum still under 2,000. So gold and mining shares not really sure what to do at the moment. The MAS Group down 3.5, Alpha Min down 2.3. Kumba down 1.5, and MTN down 1.4, and then some of the gold miners down. Momentum, they had the results out yesterday. They're down 1%. Karoo is up 3.27. Harmony actually up 3%, interestingly. And then the Foschini Group, they're up 3%. Now, they reported that for the first 11 weeks of the year, their sales have grown by 7.6%. So their sales for the year so far are up 5.2%. They've also finally been able to do some work on their margins. They were selling things, but not making as much money each time as they needed to. They also confirmed their headline earnings per share will be down by over 20%. Motus, the car group, that's up 3%, and Truworths is up 2.68%. So this looks a little bit more like a kind of consumer rally. And Exaro, their results out yesterday, they're up 2.16%. The Premier Group today saying they expect their headline earnings to be up by between 20 and 30%, helped by the launch of their mega bakery at Ayrton, added to their capacity. I've forgotten the sheer number of loaves it can break at one time, but it really is quite astonishing. In the US, still obviously about energy markets and oil prices and what's going to happen. The Dow Jones down 0.35, the Nasdaq down 1.14, the S&P 500 down 0.72. Looking at the gold price now, it is $4,603.61 platinum, $1,969.80 Brent crude, $108.23. And the rand, I'm afraid, passed 17 rand again, 17.03 to the dollar, 19.65 to the euro, and 22.70 to the British pound. More, of course, to come in an hour. Stephen Crotus, EWN Business.
Thank you so much, Steve Oval. It is 4:30 on the dot and time for Eyewitness News headlines with Mongezi Koko. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Khomotso. Good afternoon. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says an operation separating conjoined twins would have cost more than 4 million rand at a private hospital. He says there needs to be a better investment in public health facilities because specialists are capable of performing complex surgeries. Now, the minister was speaking at Mankweng Public Hospital in Limpopo, where doctors successfully separated twins who were joined at the abdomen for free. Jabili Limbata has more.
Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has celebrated the team of specialists who delivered this rare medical breakthrough. He said the narrative that public hospitals are inefficient needs to change. Motsoaledi says many surgeries, which were the first of its kind for the country, began in the 1960s with the heart transplant and later another operation of conjoined twins. All happened at public facilities.
That during that period, a private hospital was just a convenience store where you go for a quick thing. If the operation is serious, they send to a public hospital. But then what happened? We deprived public hospitals of facilities and resources.
He says the surgery has again proven the capabilities of health professionals at public facilities. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
The DA in Ekurhuleni has announced Katuchero Raselengwane as its mayoral candidate. This morning's announcement comes after weeks of speculation, with Mike Waters widely seen as a leading contender for the position. Party insiders had described Waters as an experienced and strong option to lead the metro. The DA leaders in the city say that it is in urgent need of a powerful leadership change as it faces ongoing governance challenges. DA provincial leader Solim Simanga.
We are here with somebody that is going to lead us in our campaign in Ekurhuleni. Somebody who is going to be the champion of service delivery in Ekurhuleni. Somebody who is going to be the champion of ending corruption in Ekurhuleni. Somebody who is going to be the champion of bringing jobs to Ekurhuleni. Somebody who is going to be a champion of fixing infrastructure in Ekurhuleni. Democrats Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, please stand on your feet and help me welcome your new mayoral candidate for the 2026 local government in the Ekurhuleni, Mekatutelo Rasilingwane.
A major crackdown on fraud has led to the arrest of 10 suspects linked to a UIF scam in the Free State. Police say the group, working with alleged insiders, manipulated the system by submitting fake employment details to claim payouts costing the Department of Labour over 300,000 rand. 9 suspects were arrested in Bethlehem on Wednesday, with the 10th, a Department of Labour employee, arrested in Bloemfontein today. Free State Police spokesperson Mahlomola Karedi.
During their initial appearance, the state did not oppose bail. All suspects were granted bail in the amount of 1,500 each. The case has been postponed to 18 May 2026 for further bail information and investigation.
And Chuck Norris, the U.S. martial arts and Hollywood action star, most famous for his role in Walker, Texas Ranger, has died at the age of 86. In a statement released this afternoon, his family said they mourned the star's sudden passing. Now, Norris died while in hospital yesterday morning. His family described him as a devoted father, a loving husband, a grandfather, an incredible brother, and the heart of the family.
Lisa, would you go behind my pickup truck and pull down the tailgate for me, please?
Following in the footsteps of both Jesus and Abraham Lincoln, Chuck breaks a creep's nose like it's a saltine cracker. Then he resets it. Then he breaks it again. Few will ever get so close to being touched by perfection.
A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures drop to lows of between 16 and 18 degrees, peaking at highs of between 24 and 27.
In Bosmont, heading towards Soweto, there's an accident scene N1 southbound after Albertina Sisulu. This is causing huge delays all the way from Gordon Road. In Brakpan, roadworks causing heavy delays. This is on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City. And in Cederberg, Pretoria, accident scene on the R80 southbound. This is before the hairpin bend, slowing down traffic all the way from Brits Road.
The top story in EWN, Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says an operation separating conjoined twins would have cost more than 4 million rand at a private hospital.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
I did not want it to end. There is something about those chord progressions that is just, you are giving me Tom Misch energy.
Hey, thank you. That's
right? And in a weird way, Charlie Putin.
Putin or
Yes.
Puth? You mean Puth? Not Putin. Not the officers of James Deacon are not in any way associated with Putin.
Guys, it's Friday.
Your boy
Forgive
Charlie
me,
Putin. It's Vladimir's son, Charlie. He's in music.
Singer, songwriter, vocalist, and multi-talented instrumentalist James Deacon.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
This 23rd March, join Freedom Park and the National Heritage Council as we commemorate the Battle of Cuto-Kwanalebe, a defining moment in Southern Africa's journey to freedom. Be part of a powerful day of reflection on resistance and liberation heritage, featuring a public lecture, wreath-laying ceremony, and messages of solidarity from African and international partners. Let's honor the courage and unity and sacrifice that shaped our democracy. Freedom Park, Pretoria, on the 23rd of March, 2026. Be there. Be part of the legacy.
Safety begins in our homes, our streets, and our communities. Government is working to ensure that every person in South Africa feels safe. Based on the President's commitment during the State of the Nation address, the South African National Defence Force is being deployed to support the South African Police Service in crime prevention operations across selected areas in Gauteng, Western Cape, Free State, Eastern Cape, and the Northwest. Their role is to support the South African Police Service to protect communities and strengthen safety where it matters most. Fighting crime needs all of us. If you see criminal activity, speak up. Report it to your nearest police station or call Crime Stop on 0800 10 111. Working together for a safer South Africa. A message from the Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS.
This is what home internet should feel like. Get the Vodacom 5G home router with 600 gigs and 30 megabits per second download speed for just $529 per month over 36 months. And that's not all. You'll also get a Xiaomi TV Box 3rd Gen with $1,399. Stream in 4K at no extra cost. Your home fully connected, fully entertained. Exclusive to Vodacom World. Visit us today and get connected. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
This country is asking questions about leadership, the future, and whose voices truly matter. If you're young and have something to say about South Africa, this is your invitation. The Clement Mayatela Show on 702 wants to come to your classroom or campus to open real conversations with those shaping what comes next. Whether you're in primary school, high school, university, or an educator, this is a rare chance to be heard face-to-face. Email cm@702.co.za and tell us why Clement should visit. The future doesn't whisper, it speaks. 702. Let's walk the talk.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Chuck Norris once killed 2 stones with 1 bird.
No, Khumuta. Fake news. Fake news. Chuck Norris cannot die. Death is afraid of Chuck Norris. That is fake news. He doesn't die, he lives forever.
So my Chuck Norris joke is the following. Chuck Norris sleeps with a nightlight on because the dog is afraid of Chuck Norris. Rest in peace, Chuck.
Oh man, those jokes are just taking me out. Hey, I mean, who comes up with this stuff? It's absolutely hilarious. It's not fake news, unfortunately. Chuck Norris, the legendary Chuck Norris, has passed away in the US. And really, what a life, what a time. I mean, I remember. You remember? It's Friday. Don't go out without a fight. It's Friday action night. And then immediately after that, you hear, I think it was on ETV, you know, Walker, Texas Ranger. I mean, it was amazing, right?
Yeah. Great times.
Life
Fun
was simpler.
times. Yeah.
You know, we didn't have too much to choose from, so we watched what we were given.
And I remember my grandmom would stay up every Sunday watching Chuck Norris. I remember he used to play late at
Your
night,
grandma?
Walker, Texas Ranger. Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately, Chuck Norris, the news of Chuck Norris passing away, breaking there. He had been hospitalized, you know, and he was 86 years old. You don't realize how old these people are, hey? Because we see so many of their movies, particularly the older ones, and I've realized that with me. I mean, I only really see now with social media posts now where they'll be like, oh, maybe Chuck Norris was on a red carpet, and I'll be like, yo, Chuck, you look pretty old, but you don't realize how old they are. He was 86 years old, and who would have thought?
Yeah.
Chuck Norris.
I was also thinking 86. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, truly. I do see many of your messages coming in. You've got all these memories and these jokes about Chuck Norris. Keep them coming in. 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
Chalakala Mganga, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso, and it was back-to-back losses for South Africa against New Zealand in their respective T20 matches. The men lost by 8 wickets after they were restricted to 136 for 9, and in response, Tom Latham top-scored with 63 as the Black Caps reached their victory target with 22 balls remaining. For the women, Sophie Devine's 8th half-century led New Zealand to a 6-wicket victory in the third T20 as the White Ferns took a 2-1 lead in the 5-match series. Kayla Reineke had given South Africa's innings a late boost, having scored an unbeaten 34 off 20 balls to take the total to 149 for 7.
One game can't define us as a team. I think we are a very strong team, and I mean we have a good cricketing brains also in the camp, not just any management but players around also. So yeah, I think it's still a long tour to go, so we're trying to stay as positive as possible, and yeah, obviously not to look too far ahead. So yeah, as I mentioned, gonna look and see what we can do better in the next one.
Liam Rossinia will be looking for a morale-boosting win when Chelsea take on Everton tomorrow in the Premier League. They suffered a humbling exit from the UEFA Champions League in midweek following an 8-2 aggregate loss to holders PSG, while in the league they're languishing in 6th place after losing to Newcastle United last time out.
When you lose games, it's always a damage attached to it. But there's also me. I'm learning about the team. I'm learning about myself and my staff and the club. I learned a lot this week. What I do know is that there's a resilience determination to put things right for myself and the team. And we'll see in the coming weeks what happens, which I'm very, very confident about.
FIFA has implemented new regulations that will require every team in women's competition to have at least one female head coach or assistant in an attempt to boost the numbers of women coaching at the highest level. The regulations come into effect at this year's Under-17 and Under-20 Women's World Cups, as well as the World Cup next year in Brazil. President Gianni Infantino has confirmed that the new regulations apply to technical teams from youth to senior level.
If it was for me, I would have gone even further than that, but it is a very, very important, of course, concrete step to enhance women's presence in competitions in women's football and to make sure that we can develop a new number of female representatives in all these different functions.
And Bafana are likely to face a familiar face when they play Mexico in their opening game of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That's after goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa returned to their roster for the friendlies against Portugal and Belgium. The 40-year-old earns a first call-up since May 2025 following an ACL injury to Luis Malagon. If Ochoa is selected for the tournament, he would make history by becoming the first player to participate in 6 FIFA World Cups. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo, how are the roads looking?
Well, at this stage in Bosmont, heading towards Soweto, there's an accident seen N1 South after Albertina Sisulu, causing huge delays. This is all the way from Gordon Road. In Brakpan, also about a 20-minute delay. This is on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City due to ongoing roadworks. In Bryanston, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 southbound before this is from the Butlu interchange all the way to Winnie Mandela Drive. And in Pretoria, Cederberg accident scene on the R80 southbound Mabopane Highway. This is before the hairpin bend, slowing down traffic all the way from Brits Road. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a parent and a nervous but excited kid practicing her lines to put on a show-stopping performance at the school play. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a future superstar on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It is 15 minutes before 5 and it's 702 Afternoon Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise. I'm in for John Perlman this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. So here's a story that caught my attention. There's a story in the New York Post that says that teachers in New York in the United States have found that scores of teenagers can't read traditional clocks after a cell phone ban in schools statewide. And that's because students figured the skill would be useless in the digital era. So in those schools, they're phasing out reading the time on the analog clock. So 10:30, 10:20, 10:45, the analog clocks,
the
right?
one with the hands.
Yes, with the hands, right? And now they're only going digital. So in some schools they're completely phasing out the analog clock. And look, I should take this moment to be a little vulnerable. I sometimes struggle with the radio clock. So the radio clock, John Perlman actually, Dr. John, told me that I should read forward, right? So right now it is 16:46. So it is 14 minutes before 5, right? And I shouldn't necessarily say 46 minutes past 4, right? Which is a bad habit that many of us have taken on. And I was wondering, Karabo, I mean, do you have a preference? Do you prefer digital clocks? And now that we read time on our phones, have you found yourself struggling a bit with analog?
No, actually, I'm perfectly okay with analog. But one thing I can say that I also struggle with the radio time system, like how you say
Yes.
it in radio. It's like, oh, because like I have to now
13,
minus 60
plus,
minus
hey.
this plus what? But honestly, I still don't understand why we should read the time like that on radio. Why can't we just say it's 14:47 or 16:47?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, why that
I
rule?
think the understanding, I mean, because you're trying to tell...
His maths teacher failed.
Oh,
man.
man.
Let it go. There are people in the car right now that are going, someone got promoted. They didn't pass. Yeah.
Condoned.
So now it's what? 13 minutes?
13 minutes.
Sheesh.
You see that hesitation? I sometimes have it. There's like at 16:36. I'm like, is this 24 minutes before? There's a heartbeat there. Tola, you don't struggle with that?
I don't. I always prefer the analog clock because also it's just something about it that's just sleeker. I like how it looks. I like how the fact that your brain has to remember that the shorthand is the hour, the longhand is the minutes.
Yes.
So, because I did once play this game with my nieces where I made them tell me the time using the two clocks that I have in my house. It did take one like 3 minutes to figure out how to work it, but I was like, I don't care how long it takes. You will learn how to do it. And I think we especially, I think, in this digital age, we need to teach kids that not everything that you face is something that you like or you enjoy.
Yes.
Even something so simple like telling the time. Because yes, around the house we may have the digital clock, but a lot of times in schools, because I did my school teacher placement last year,
Yes.
they still have the analog clocks.
So
and
they
they still use them, and that's how they tell the time. So the kids would always know that when it's 20 past, period 1 ends. When the clock is at 10 to, it's time for lunch. So it's those little things where not every place you're going to go to is going to cater to your specific wants and needs.
Yeah.
So expand your mind and allow yourself to think, and don't be like Arabo. Listen in maths, so you're not on the radio not knowing how to count.
Like you're saying, they're phasing out analog teaching in UK, in America.
Yes.
I don't get it because it's a big thing. Because my son, his books where they're teaching them the watch or the clock, it's in analog. And when the teacher said I must buy him a watch, she specifically said I must buy her the analog one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I want to hear from you. Do you struggle with the analog clock, and do you prefer the digital, or have you become so used to it? I don't struggle with the analog clock at all. It is the radio time sometimes that I'm thinking, oh, now I must do the math there and count it. But I have got Dada John who helps me with that quite a bit whenever I speak to him. But now it is 10 minutes to 5. So get in touch with us about the time. And do you have a preference when it comes to your time? Do you say, I will only use a digital watch, or you can use and you move between the digital and the analog clock? And maybe I should also ask you, do your kids struggle with that? And how do you go about helping them? 011 883 0702 072 702 1702.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So one of the reasons why I really enjoy the Friday show is that it's loaded with music, and we get to learn a lot about the different types of music. And it's time for that. It's time for Randall's One Song, where we speak to Randall Abrams about a song. And I'm really looking forward to that, because today I'm learning a lot about a song that I hadn't really heard about. Randall, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm good. You know, a few weeks ago, I was jamming in my car. I think you had the Soul Brothers, and you were speaking about them. And they were favorites in my house. My grandmother used to love the Soul Brothers, and that's how I got to know them. And I learned something new, even though I'd listened to them since I was a child. And today you've got new fun facts about a new artist.
I do indeed. His name is Lee Ritenour. He, in fact, has visited South Africa along with drummer Dave Weckel. His music, we talk about genres, but one doesn't want to be too specific. But he's both a very renowned studio guitarist on multiple albums during the 70s and 80s. And then he has his own career as largely as an instrumentalist. So the album that we are listening to today is Lee Ritenour. It's called Color Rit, from 1989. His first record came out in 1976, First Course, and very jazz inspired, what one might call jazz fusion, and then certainly very Brazilian and bossa nova inspired in that, along with Earl Klugh. He is a master of the acoustic guitar.
All right, I think we should take a listen to that song. It's Air by Lee Ritenour.
A gente quer valer o nosso amor, a gente quer valer nosso suor, a gente quer valer o nosso humor, a gente quer do bom e do melhor, a gente quer carinho e atenção, a gente quer calor no coração, a gente quer suar mais de prazer. A gente quer ter muita saúde, a gente quer viver a liberdade, a gente quer viver felicidade. Ter todo respeito, a gente quer viver uma nação, a gente quer ser um cidadão, a gente quer viver uma nação.
Those are the beautiful sounds of Lee Ritenour. Of course, he is an American artist, and I think you can hear that Latin, influence. But Randall, I was thinking when I was listening to this that it's true what they say about music transcending cultures, because this could fit really beautifully in a ballroom or ball dance, I should say, setting, even in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, he's been to South Africa, and a lot of the listeners would know him from another group of instrumentalists, Foreplay. So Bob James on keyboards, him on guitar, a very famous bass player who's played with everybody, including Eric Clapton on bass, and Harvey Mason on drums. Fantastic group. But if you'll indulge me, I've got a great story.
Yeah.
He worked with Quincy Jones on the big George Benson hit album "Give Me the Night," and they'd recorded the track and they'd brought him in because they were trying to kind of move Benson from a jazz world into more of a pop world. And one of the things that Quincy asked to happen was that Benson actually use Lee Ritenour's equipment in order to, modernize his sound, as it were. And that is what happened. And Lee was, asleep one night, 3 a.m, and he got a call from Q, and Q said, "Come down to the studio now." And he was like, "It's 3 a.m. He was like, "I don't care, just get in a taxi and come now." So off he went to the studio. And in the recording, I think Bruce Sweden was the engineer. They'd lost a piece of Benson's solo on the track. And they told Benson to come and listen to the final mix the next morning. But somehow in the recording process, they'd cut off a tiny piece of the instrumental. And what they did was they played Lee Ritenour a cassette tape that they'd kept. Obviously not the final mix, but he could hear that part. And he played in that tiny section. And then they said, "Whatever you do, just don't tell George." So they played it to George the next day. He was very happy. Obviously, it went on to be a massive hit. And I think it was almost 30 years later that Benson and Lee were touring together. And Benson said to him, when we made that record together, it was absolutely fantastic. And he said to Lee Ritenour, "Just listen to my playing in that spot, man. It's fantastic."
Yeah.
And Lee said to him, "That's me."
Sure.
And he said, "No, obviously it's not. It's me." And Lee then, related the entire story to him. So quite something to have that sort of treasured story where you've kind of filled in for George Benson on a massive hit record produced by Quincy Jones.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, I'm certainly adding Lee Ritenour onto my music list as well. And that song was check him out. It sounds absolutely amazing. That was Randall Abrams with Randall's One Song.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
All Scholar Transport operators are required to comply with the following mandatory requirements. All required licenses and certificates must be renewed annually for minibus taxis and biannually for buses in accordance with applicable regulations. Overloaded, unroadworthy, or unlicensed vehicles will be impounded without exception. Every vehicle must be equipped with an appropriate and fully stocked first aid kit at all times. Routine safety inspections are compulsory for all vehicles providing Scholar Transport services. Compliance with these requirements is non-negotiable and is enforced to safeguard the lives of learners and all road users. Issued by the National Department of Transport.
Do you remember the promise Nelson Mandela made to our country's children that they would grow up with dignity, protection, and hope? This Human Rights Month, we honor that promise as the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund marks 30 years of changing how society treats its children. In 2026, we celebrate a legacy that still calls on all of us to care, uplift, and make every child's future brighter, and to follow his example by loving children the Nelson Mandela way. The Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, celebrating 30 years of impact. Learn more at nelsonmandelachildrensfund.com.
This is EWN.
Commission hears details of chilling message by witness F after DJ Somebody's murder, and household name Chuck Norris dies at the age of 86. A very good afternoon. I'm Monkey Zikoko. A few days after DJ Somebody was violently killed, Gauteng cop Sergeant Fanny Nkosi sent a message to his friend asking why he didn't call the entertainer to order. The popular DJ, whose real name was Oupa Sefoka, was killed in a hail of bullets while driving around Sandton in November of 2022. It's emerged that the Madlanga commissioned that Sergeant Fanny Nkosi may have knowledge on what led to his death. Tabiso Goba has more.
4 men are standing trial for the murder of DJ Somebody. This includes suspected crime cartel boss Katiso Katie Molefe. Testimony heard at the Madlanga Commission has already linked Sergeant Nkosi to Molefe. Last November, the Commission played CCTV footage showing Nkosi leaving Molefe's home with a bag suspected to be stuffed with money. Today, the Commission showed a WhatsApp message Nkosi sent to his friend Mpho Lekokela days after DJ Somebody's death. The message is a picture of Lekokela and DJ Somebody, which is accompanied by a text by Nkosi that reads, "Why didn't you call him to order?" Nkosi was asked what he meant with this message.
I don't know. I can't remember what was this. Why didn't you call him to order? Was relating to, as in when he responded, I didn't know. I can't remember that.
Nkosi's answer did not sit well with the Commission chairperson Mbuyiseli Madlanga, who accused the officer of lying. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
3 former employees that were dismissed by the services SETA after blowing the whistle on corruption will either receive compensation or get their jobs back. Services SETA Administrator Lehlogonolo Masoga found that the dismissals were automatically unfair as they fell under the Protection of Public Disclosures Act. On 3 separate incidents, the 3 employees exposed acts of corruption and irregular tenders amounting to millions of rands. Masoga says the 3 were targeted and fired by SETA.
I take full responsibility for the actions and inactions of my predecessors and commit to dispense justice to the victims of our previous decisions and or sometimes lack thereof. We remain committed to justice through timeous and decisive action in pursuit of good governance.
The Department of Mineral Resources has urged the public not to panic buy fuel in future and fear of shortages and expected price hikes next month. This follows a sharp rise in the price of Brent crude oil, which has increased by about 8% this week. Department spokesperson Lerato Ntsoko says while there may be isolated disruptions, these do not amount to a national fuel shortage.
Calls for the public to rush to the pumps are irresponsible. They place undue pressure on the supply systems, congestion at service stations, and anxiety among consumers. The department calls all organizations, public representatives, commentators, and social media users to act responsibly and to refrain from spreading unverified or speculative claims regarding fuel supply and fuel price developments.
In the Western Cape, some good news for Knysna residents struggling with municipal debt. Now, the Town's Council has approved a new incentive to allow qualifying households to have up to 50% of their arrears written off. The municipality says residents who pay half of what they owe by the 30th of June will see the remaining balance cleared in full. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
The relief applies to residential customers with debt dating back to June last year that was still outstanding at the start of this year. Knysna Mayor Thando Matika says the revised policy is aimed at giving families a fresh start and easing ongoing financial pressure. Residents can take advantage of the offer through a once-off payment or a short-term payment arrangement, depending on their circumstances. Municipal officials say the initiative is about supporting households while encouraging responsible payment going forward. Residents are urged to contact municipal offices in Knysna and Sedgefield as soon as possible to apply. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And Chuck Norris, the U.S. martial arts and Hollywood action star most famous for his role in Walker, Texas Ranger, has died at the age of 86. In a statement released this afternoon, his family said it is mourning the star's sudden passing. Now, Norris died while in hospital yesterday morning. His family described him as a devoted husband, a loving father and grandfather, an incredible brother, and the heart of the family.
Lisa, would you go behind my pickup truck and pull down the tailgate for me, please?
Following in the footsteps of both Jesus and Abraham Lincoln, Chuck breaks a creep's nose like it's a saltine cracker. Then he resets it. Then he breaks it again. Few will ever get so close to being touched by perfection.
gold is trading at $4,558 an ounce. The rand is at 17.05 to the dollar, 22.69 to the pound, 19.66 to the euro. Brent oil is at $108.77 a barrel.
In Tembisa, heading towards Irene, expect about a 30-minute delay on the R21 northbound approaching Olifantsfontein Road. While in Bosmont, we still have that accident scene N1 South after Albertina Sisulu, causing huge delays from 14th Avenue.
In your sport, Manchester United's away trip to Bournemouth tonight kicks off the weekend's Premier League action. The Lions look to make it 3 wins in a row in the United Rugby Championship, and the Proteas women to play home tests against India and Australia.
A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 17 degrees, reaching a high of 24. Pretoria 18 and 27. Vereniging 16 at a high of 26. The top story in EWN this hour: a few days after DJ Sambodi was violently killed, Gauteng cop Sergeant Fani Nkosi sent a message to his friend asking why he didn't call the entertainer to order.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. It is 7 minutes past 5 right here on 702 Afternoon Drive. My name is Khomotsa Modisi. I'm in for Dr. John this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is the third and final hour of the show. And coming up, we're going to be having a conversation around children going hungry while there is a 336 million rand budget for early childhood nutrition. And that budget seems to not be tapped into at all. That's according to a story that's been written by the Daily Maverick, and that's based on an ECD report that's been released. We're going to be speaking to someone from the DG Murray Trust on why exactly none of this money is being used, especially in a country like ours, where we know that hunger is a reality for many. And then in the final half hour of the show, it is a song, a book, and a dish. And today, I'm excited to be talking to multi-award-winning artist Theo Kosingwes. Get in touch with us for that conversation. The number to dial is 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. Get in touch with me on X at @motso_mudise.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Oh, snap. Good afternoon to the 702 lenders. Man, long live Chuck Norris, the man who drove his parents home the day he was born. The man who can slam a revolving door. The man who can strangle you with a cordless phone. The man who can drown a fish. The man who can make onions cry. Hey, Walker, Texas Ranger. Long live him, Chaka Chaka. Rest him for. Long live Chuck Norris. Mai, Midrand. Thank you.
Hi, Humuta. With time, the only way to understand, even if it's analog or digital, it's quite easy to understand what is the real time. You can say it anyhow, anyway, but as long as you know quarter past, half past, quarter to, if you look at it and then you see, oh, it's after quarter to, so you need to calculate. It's quick, it's easy. You just minus when it's it has passed. It has passed half past.
Yay!
So it's from that side it's minus. On the other side, you can just name it as it is. 15 minutes past, 20 past, 23 minutes past.
Yay!
12 minutes past. So, and then when you go on the other side, you are minusing. It's quite easy, even if on an analog and digital is the same.
Hi, Khomoto. This is Buddy from Dobsonville. I just wanted to find out if they're not learning how to learn the time on the analog clock, how are they going to read the time on are they not planning to own timepieces in the future, like your Swiss timepieces of all the high-end watch brands? Because most of them are analog. Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, thank you so much for those voice notes. I mean, I have such respect for teachers, hey? Because the fact that they can teach that, did you hear my brother there with the voice saying minus, plus? Hey, there's just a lot going on, right?
Higher grade maths.
And imagine baby Kabomu.
Shame.
Little Kabomu, he must now know that after the half, he's plussing.
I mean, after half past, you minus. That's the problem with me. Before half past, that's easy. Okay, 15 minutes past. But then after, I have to minus 60 minutes, minus 35.
So, yes.
Guys.
I think the issue is not so being able to do a 22, 25 to quarter to, that's fine,
That's
right?
fine,
That's
yes.
easy. The issue is when you must say it is 23 minutes before 6. Then, yeah. Okay. And then there's the guy. Did he call Chuck Norris Chaka Chaka?
Hey, dude. He had a whole poem. It was actually quite good.
I really love that also.
Yeah.
I think he said the only guy that can bang a revolving door. Yeah, of course, that's your responses to the passing of the legendary Chuck Norris. Oh, man. Do you guys think that the people in America, do you think they know the nicknames that South Africans have for them? Do you think that Chuck Norris knew that people here call him Chaka Chaka? Chaka Chaka. Huh? Yeah, of course. It's really sad, but I do think that there's so many happy memories when it comes to the passing of Chuck Norris. And I think that's what we should hope for, because we know the death will come, but, how do people remember you? How do they, remember your legacy? And it's clear that so many people have beautiful memories of Chuck Norris.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal, and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com. Karabo?
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards Montana, there's an accident scene. That's in Pretoria on the N1 northbound after Sturmville, causing huge delays all the way from the Proefplaas interchange. In Tembisa, we have about a 30-minute delay on the R21 northbound approaching Olifantsfontein Road, while in Brakpan, roadworks causing about a 20-minute delay on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City. Bosmont heading towards Soweto, accident scene N1 southbound after Albertina Sisulu, causing huge delays all the way from 14th Avenue. For the latest traffic update, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
This 23rd of March, join Freedom Park and the National Heritage Council as we commemorate the Battle of Cuito-Cuanavale, a defining moment in Southern Africa's journey to freedom. Be part of a powerful day of reflection on resistance and liberation heritage, featuring a public lecture, wreath-laying ceremony, and messages of solidarity from African and international partners. Let's honor the courage, unity, and sacrifice that shaped our democracy. Freedom Park in Pretoria on the 23rd of March 2026. Be there, be part of the legacy.
The Dis-Chem Better Rewards program is here, and every time you shop and save, you're also giving back. Each time you swipe, not only are you rewarded, but a percentage of your purchase is donated to the Dis-Chem Foundation to support communities in need. So why wait? Sign up to become a Better Rewards member today and support with every swipe. Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community.
Zandi Finga's Hive promo agency was growing fast, but the paperwork was catching up. What were you up against?
Challenges that were slowing down my growth was finding clients as well as organizing the promoter application.
But with Yep for online visibility and Zoho to manage her database, she has turned chaos into a well-honeyed hive.
Get Yep by Telkom Business from 249 Rand per month and Zoho from only 1,260 Rand annually. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins begins here.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
702 was in conversation with pharmaceutical company Sanofi to find out more about respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, and how you can protect our babies and children.
RSV is the respiratory syncytial virus, right? So as it says, it's a respiratory tract disease. So it is a common seasonal virus that affects the airways and the lungs, so your nose, your throat, and in severe cases, it moves down to the lungs, and that can cause pneumonia, it can cause bronchiolitis, right? And that's really severe cases where infants are hospitalized.
Visit primemediaplus.com to hear the full interview. 702 in conversation with Sanofi. Together against RSV.
702 Podcast
on primemediaplus.com.
Welcome back. This is 702 Afternoon Drive. My name is Khomotso Modise, in for John Perlman at 17:17 right here on 702. And thank you for tuning in. So here's a story that I found to be absolutely bizarre. It's a story by the Daily Maverick, and it details how children continue to go hungry with 197 million rand that was budgeted for the Department of Basic Education's implementation of a pilot nutrition program that's for early childhood development centers. Now, that amount was bumped up. So the 197 million was in 2024. That amount was bumped up to 336 million rand in the following financial year. And for some reason, that money is not being used much. And that's according to an ECD sector report. And I mean, we need to find out why. Why is that money not being used? Because you cannot tell me that in a country like ours, there is no need for such a fund. We know the issues around hunger. We know how many children go to bed without having had a meal. And the fact that this money that's been earmarked to help with that nutrition program is not trickling down is quite a concern. Now, I must say that we did try to reach out to the Department of Basic Education to give them right of reply and for them to come and clarify where exactly the money is going, but we have not been successful and they haven't come back to us. So we've got the Deputy CEO at the DG Murray Trust, and that's Kenze Khatebe. Kenze Khatebe is joining us now on the line. Thank you so much for your time, Kenze. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on the show.
I think I just want to start with, do we know why? Why is this amount? I mean, these are large funds. It's multi-million rands that have been earmarked to assist with the nutrition program, 197 million and then 336 million. Do we know why this money isn't trickling down to the ECD centers?
So I think that's a really good question, Khomotso. So we know from the Department of Basic Education that they've been exploring various implementation mechanisms. So our assumptions is that some of that work is still happening behind the scenes, but we're not exactly certain. And I think the article that you're referring to highlights that, because a lot of civil society organizations and advocacy organizations have been calling for the Department of Basic Education to be transparent and share with us, where are we at in the process? What's been happening? Are there delays? How can other partners also come on board and assist? And I think ultimately that's the challenge, is that we don't know where the challenge is, but also potentially, is there a risk that we might not be able to access this money in future if we don't utilize it during this period that we're meant to actually utilize it for this pilot?
Yeah. So I recognize that we don't know why the money isn't trickling down, but do we know then where it's going? Is there an indication of this?
No, we don't necessarily have an indication except from what initially was stated in the outset. So what we've always been advocating for ourselves as DGMT and others in the ecosystem is that early learning programs need to be adequately supported, specifically around issues of nutrition. We know that children in South Africa, particularly those who are coming from lower income households, have an increased chance of not accessing the kind of nutritional that is critical at that age gap. So between the ages of 3 to 5, when critical learning and brain development is happening. So working with, as actors in the sector, we advocated for nutrition to be prioritized by the Department of Basic Education, particularly for early learning programs. So we knew that how the money should have been flowing is that it should be going directly to early learning programs to assist them either through the subsidy. So the subsidy was increased in 2025 from 17 Rand per child per day to 24 Rand per child per day. So we are moving in the right direction, but particularly for nutrition, we know that with the rising cost of food that this isn't enough. So there were a couple of proposals that were put on the table by organizations like Real Reform for ECD, modeling what options could we utilize as a country to make sure that money could move directly from government into the hands of early learning practitioners who can then purchase the food that's required. But we also understand that there were other proposals that government was looking at that are similar, for example, to the school nutrition feeding program. And there were various conversations that were happening. And I think for us, it was to emphasize and elevate the complexity of the ECD sector and the fact that in a largely informal sector, a centralized procurement program wouldn't necessarily make sense. So there's not necessarily clarity around where the money is sitting, but we do know that we want to get it into the hands of practitioners so that children can have nutritious food.
Yeah. Kenze, I'm sure you know that from the 1st of April in 2022, there was that move where early childhood development centers or the ECD sector was moved from social development to the Department of Basic Education. Do you have a sense of how things have been since then? And could this possibly be one of the reasons that when this transition started, there weren't clear systems, so to speak, to ensure that the money goes where it's supposed to be going?
So I think that's a really interesting question. So we've been working with the Department of Basic Education for a while now. And I think one of the things that we've seen since the function shift in 2022 has been an openness for collaboration and engagement from the Department of Basic Education. So for example, the publication of the DBECD strategy clearly outlined the need to ensure that we had appropriate mechanisms to legislate, but also, not just to legislate, but also to regulate early learning programs. And a big part of that was, number one, increasing access to early learning programs, and then in addition to that, ensuring that those early learning programs were adequately supported. So I think in terms of understanding the dynamics of the complexity and I think the very significant challenges that practitioners on the ground are facing, there has been open engagement and communication with the Department of Basic Education since that function shift. I think what we're seeing now is clearly something is happening that's making it very difficult for the DBE to be transparent around where the money is sitting or where the pain points are. And I think what civil society is asking for, and early learning practitioners, is to say, please give us a sense of a timeline so that we can understand what to expect from government moving forward.
And just for a bit of clarity, this would be the money that would be given to as a subsidy, in the form of a subsidy, to registered ECD centers?
So I think that's one of the questions that's up for debate, and that's why this was proposed as a nutrition pilot. So going back to a little bit about what I shared earlier, part of what we've been calling for civil society is to say that ECD isn't like schools. So in schools, you can have a centralized procurement process where meals are delivered at school premises directly to early learning programs. So there's certain infrastructure in schools that makes that possible, but also because DBE does infrastructure for other aspects like books, etc. So there are things that we can leverage and learn around how to get nutrition into schools. Early learning programs in the South African context are slightly different. This is a largely informal sector where women are running early learning programs, or what some of us might call creches, in their backyards, in their rooms. So it's not the same kind of infrastructure support that you would find in a school. So the challenges that an early learning service provider would face around food storage, having enough space, or even the budget to be able to purchase food in large quantities is not feasible and possible. So what we've been advocating for is to say that we need to find flexible and appropriate procurement mechanisms that ensure that actually we put the agency in the hands of early learning practitioners to be able to make those purchases. I think government is currently considering multiple mechanisms for doing this, one of them being centralized procurement. But I think that part of the challenge is around the lack of clarity. So we're not yet sure exactly which mechanism government will decide on, but part of this pilot was to test what would actually be feasible and best in our context.
All right, Gente Khatebe, let's leave it there. She's the Deputy CEO of the DG Murray Trust, which does a lot of work in this space, and they also have reports in this basic education space. It's truly a bizarre story. I mean, these are millions. 197 million rand that was budgeted in 2024. That amount bumped up to 300 or 336 million rand. And really, the question is, why is this money not making it to the ECD centers in the way that it should, particularly for the nutrition program? I do know that the John Perlman team, so that's the producers, Rafue as well as Jonathan, are going to continue reaching out to the basic education department to try and get them to account so that they can give an indication of where exactly this money is going.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo, how are the roads looking?
In the city of Tshwane, Diersdorp, there's an accident scene heading towards Montana N1 northbound after Sturmful, causing heavy delays from Linwood Road. Tembisa also expect about a 30-minute delay. Heading towards Irene on the R21 northbound approaching Olifantsfontein Road. In Brakpan, you can expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City due to ongoing roadworks. In Bosmont, traveling towards Soweto, expect heavy delays. This is due to an accident scene. N1 southbound after Albertino Sisulu. Bryanston, bumper traffic on the N1 south from the Butlu interchange to Winnie Mandela Drive. And in four-ways, traffic heavily backed up on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and Steyn City. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when your jeans still fit even after the weekend? That's how good it feels to see the Outsurance pointsmen on your route. Everyone feels the difference when the Outsurance pointsmen are on the roads. They've been easing the traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag pointsmanlove, licensed insurer and FSP.
EWN Business.
Steve, well, good afternoon. How are the markets looking?
Yeah, not great, I'm afraid, Kamotso. I mean, not a surprise. There was a little bit of a bounce earlier from the JSE after what's happened over the last couple of days, but in the last sort of hour or so, that's really gone the other way. The JSE All-Share Index ending down 0.45% at 110,070 points. Financials down a quarter, industrials down 0.35%, and resources down 1%. And it's the same old story. You know, gold is slightly weaker, lost $100 in the last hour. Platinum still below $2,000, and the rand a week or two, passing 17 rand again to the dollar. And this is all because of higher oil prices, which have gone up a couple of dollars in the last hour as well. Strangely, despite all of that, the biggest winner of the day didn't even feature an hour ago as We Buy Cars. And I think there are a couple of things that are happening because there are some other consumer shares that have done quite nicely. Now, Premier are up 4.45. They did put out results today. Their headline earnings will be up by between 20 and 30%. More of a trading statement, really. But you've got the Premier Group up 4.5, Motors up 3.5, Tiger Brands up 3. And what might be happening is often at the end of the week, people rebalance portfolios. They're moving away from gold, moving away from anything to do with what could be affected. And you're looking for defensive stocks. And so you're looking for something that you know will work, and these are consumer brands. If you look at Premier, for example, Chamotso, they make unbelievable numbers of bread. Who's not going to invest in bread as a defensive stock, if you catch my drift? The Foschini Group also reporting today the first 11 weeks of the year, its sales growing by 7.6%. So sales for the year so far up 5.2%. That did confirm, though, headline earnings per share will be down by over 20%. PHP's down 4, MTN down 3.4%. Momentum, not terrible results yesterday, I thought, down 3 1/3%. Goldfields down 2.65 as well on the day, and Outsurance down 1.8. In the US, Obviously, the same kind of story because of what we're seeing in oil markets. The Dow Jones is down 0.48. The Nasdaq is down 1.32. The S&P 500 is down 0.89. The gold price at the moment, quite a lot lower, $4,561.19. Platinum, $1,951. 10 Brent crude, $110.09 a barrel. And the rand to the dollar, 17 to the euro, 19.61 to the British pound, 22.66. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
It's just after 5:30, time for the EWN headlines with Mongezi Koko. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Khomoza. Good afternoon. MPs are concerned that the proposal to accommodate political party staff in parliamentary villages could crowd out members of parliament. Now, the MPs are also moving the management, or rather also say the moving of management to the villages from the Department of Public Works to the legislature's own management could overwhelm the capacity of Parliament. The matter came up during discussions before the ad hoc committee on the review and amendment of the Parliamentary Villages Management Board Act. Babalondense was there.
The proposed amendments of the Parliamentary Villages Management Board Act are to give Parliament more power over the management of its parliamentary villages, which are still handled by Public Works. One of the proposals is that staff members who support various parties should also be accommodated at the villages. This is because of the high cost of living in Cape Town and to ensure they can support their committees reliably. Committee member Sihle Ngubane.
So what we need to know is that has Parliament assessed whether the accommodating of political party staff in parliamentary village could crowd out members or compromise the original purpose of the villages. That needs to be still ascertained.
But most members agree that the board must fall under Parliament's control, not under Public Works, which has its own challenges. Babalondense, Eyewitness News.
The Forestry, Fisheries and Environment Ministry says it is willing to support and work with the custodian of the previously dispossessed land in Umzimkhulu in KZN to create new economic opportunities. President Cyril Ramaphosa visited the area today to hand over title deeds to communities. The over 17,000 hectare of land will be reinstated to 4 claimant communities. Some of the beneficiaries have been hoping for this day for the past 50 years now. Minister Willie Okamp.
This presents a new future filled with hope and lots of opportunities, not only for the title deed holders, but for future generations, because as custodians, you will leave it to them. They will inherit this land, they will walk this land, they will work this land, and they will benefit from this land.
And Sri Lanka has refused permission to the United States to station 2 of its warplanes at a civilian airport in the island's south. The request was turned down to maintain Sri Lanka's neutrality and ensure its territory was not used for any military purpose that could help or hinder either side. The Indian Ocean nation was drawn into the consequences of the war when US forces took down an Iranian boat off its coast in March. A cloudy Saturday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures drop to lows of between 16 and 18 degrees, peaking at highs of between 24 and 27.
Accident scene in Derteport, Pretoria, N1 northbound after Stormfall causing heavy delays all the way from Linwood Road to Tembisa. Expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the R21 northbound approaching Olifantsfontein Road.
The top story in EWN this hour. MPs are concerned that the proposal to accommodate political party staff in parliamentary villages could crowd out members of parliament.
702 Afternoons
With Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
I did not want it to end. There is something about those chord progressions that is just, you are giving me Tom Misch energy.
Hey, thank you. That's
right? And in a weird way, Charlie Putin.
Putin or
Yes.
Puth? You mean Puth? Not Putin. Not the officers of James Deacon are not in any way associated with Putin.
Guys, it's Friday.
Your boy
Forgive
Charlie
me, Charlie.
Putin. It's Vladimir's son, Charlie. He's in music.
Singer, songwriter, vocalist, and multi-talented instrumentalist James Deacon.
702 Afternoons
With Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
This country is asking questions about leadership, the future, and whose voices truly matter. If you're young and have something to say about South Africa, this is your invitation. The Clement Mayatela Show on 702 wants to come to your classroom or campus to open real conversations with those shaping what comes next. Whether you're in primary school, high school, university, or an educator, this is a rare chance to be heard face-to-face. Email cm@702.co.za and tell us why Clement should visit. The future doesn't whisper, it speaks. 702, let's walk the talk.
Mzansi, forget the weather forecast. Powerball and Powerball Plus are making it rain lots of cash this March with a staggering 155 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. Don't delay. Play Powerball for 107 million rand and Powerball Plus for 48 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
Illegal water connections have serious consequences for the city's water supply. When pipelines are tampered with, it damages infrastructure, reduces system pressure, and can leave entire communities without water. Johannesburg Water continues to remove illegal connections and strengthen monitoring across the network to protect supply. Residents are encouraged to report illegal connections or suspicious activity to the City of Johannesburg on 0800 002 587. Protect our water infrastructure. Protect our water supply. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
702. WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Oh, my daughter. The steering. The real steering. Sleep well, Chuck Norris. Our steering. My daughter. Utumsane. Thank you.
Oh, Isteringi. Oh, Chuck Norris. Yeah, no, listen, this one is personal. It's personal for all of us. Because what do you mean? Chuck Norris died? No way. Yeah, we just got news of his passing, having been hospitalized in Hawaii. And yeah, I think the world is in mourning because truly, what a life, what a talent. I mean, all the Chuck Norris jokes that have been coming through, I can tell you that we've been rolling on the floor, Karabo and I. But also, I think my favorite one is the one about the banging of the, what did they say? That Chuck Norris is the only person who can slam a revolving door.
And strangle you with a cordless phone.
Yeah, oh no, I loved all the jokes that are coming in, and thank you so much for sending them through and all your memories of Chuck Norris. Of course, walk us, Texas Ranger, and yeah, just it's amazing the legacy that he leaves behind. And I'm sure that all his films, I mean, you know what happens when people pass, everyone goes back, we all want to watch and just remind ourselves of that. It is 22 minutes before 6.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso. And the Premier League returns with Manchester United's away trip to Bournemouth tonight. Since Michael Carrick's appointment in January, the Red Devils have won 7 league games and taken more points than any other side with 22. And with such positivity around their resurgence, Carrick has discussed how far United are from being genuine title contenders.
I think we've got a good squad. I think we've got a pretty decent balance within the squad. There's a few, little bits you always want to improve and progress. And we understand if next season it might look different in terms of games. We haven't had loads of games to actually in different competitions to deal with at this stage. And that's obviously going to go into the thinking of the club moving forward. We've made progress. I think that's the biggest thing. However long that takes, it depends on how well it goes. But certainly at the moment we feel we're in a decent position to make other steps.
The United Rugby Championship action gets underway this evening with the Bulls up against Cardiff for the Lions take on Edinburgh tomorrow. Etienne Oosthuizen and his teammates come into this game looking to make it 3 wins in a row and having secured the SA Shield.
When we started the season, our aim was obviously top 8. To top that off with the Shield win, the first time in 4 years for the franchise. I think it just shows the growth of the team. I think we have a young, exciting team that's got a lot of talent. And obviously being part of that, being an older guy in the team, obviously leading by example, trying to get the young guys to get out of their shelves and express themselves. I think the most important part for me in the team at the moment.
It was back-to-back losses for South Africa against New Zealand in their respective T20 matches. The women suffered a 6-wicket defeat in the third T20 as the White Ferns took a 2-1 lead in their 5-match series, while the men lost by 8 wickets after they were restricted to 136 for 9. And in response, Tom Latham top-scored with 63 as the Black Caps reached their victory target with 22 balls remaining. Keshav Maharaj has discussed what is needed for them to get back to winning ways and to level the games.
If you look at the bowling unit, they've been really good. A couple of areas where we can improve as a unit. But, there's still that belief. I mean, that's the first thing I mentioned today, that we did bowl New Zealand out not so long ago for 90. And you never know on the wicket, that's a little bit spicy. But I think each guy has to go back and really search in terms of how is he going to go about his business. And the beauty about this is we can dust ourselves off, get on a flight tomorrow, and hopefully come Sunday, have a more polished performance.
And Bryson DeChambeau sank a birdie on the par 5 18th hole to open a 2-shot lead after the second round of Live Golf at Steyn City. DeChambeau carded a 6-under par 65 for a tournament total of 14 under par. That's 2 shots ahead of David Pugg and home favourite Brandon Grace. Southern Guards led the team competition after the first round, but were toppled by Torquay, who have a combined score of 36 under par, giving them a 2-shot lead. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now. Karabo, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Khomotso. At the stage in Derteport, Tshwane, heading towards Montana. There's an accident scene on the N1 northbound. This is after Sturmville Road, causing heavy delays all the way from Linwood Road. While in Tembisa, you can still expect about a 30-minute delay heading towards Irene. On the R21 northbound, approaching Olifantsfontein Road, Brakpan. There's about a 20-minute delay. This is due to roadworks on the N17 eastbound, approaching Carnival City. Bosmont, traveling towards Soweto. There's that accident scene on the N1 southbound after Albertina Sisulu. This is causing huge delays from Gordon Road, while in Bryanston, bumper-to-bumper traffic. N1 south from the Between Change to Winnie Mandela Drive. And finally, in Fourways, traffic heavily backed up on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen Road and Steyn City. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Are corporate strategy sessions, family commitments, and fitness pursuits draining you? Stay on top of your game with the world's #1 nutritional supplement drink, Ensure Gold. With HMB and triple protein, it provides 20 essential vitamins and minerals and is clinically proven to boost energy, build muscle, and support immunity. Why settle when you can go for gold? Get the daily strength you need from Ensure Gold. Available at all leading supermarkets and pharmacies. Ensure, the strength experts.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, it's Clinton Myers, the Minister of National Treasures.
Mr. Minister, how can Momentum Insure help you?
This economy is not helping with the cost of my gusheshe, my tires, man.
Just get Momentum Insure's safety returns and get up to 30% cash back, even if you claim.
Is it true?
Stru's Bob, Mr. Minister. Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Are you a legal practitioner looking to do your mediation course? Come and train in mediation with the Law Society of South Africa, the preferred leader in legal education with over 35 years of experience. We also offer advanced training, specialized skills development, and continuous legal education to ensure legal practitioners excel with competence and integrity. Stay ahead in your profession. Explore more courses at lssa.org.za. The Law Society of South Africa, leaders in legal education.
702 Drive with John Perlman was brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
A song, a book, and a dish.
On 702.
It's time for a song, a book, and a dish. And I must say that I've been looking forward to this interview. And every time I've tried to say song, book, and a dish, I've said song, book, and a dance. And soon you will find out why. Because my next guest, really, I mean, when you think about dancing, you think about this guy. Today on a song, book, and a dish, we've got Theo Kosingwe. You might know him and remember him as the half of the South African pop duo Mafikizolo, but he too is a multi-award-winning singer, songwriter with a stellar, impactful career. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Theo Kosingwe. Theo, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And you know, sometimes when I meet people, and I meet people who who will say, you know, my mom just wanted to tell you that she likes the way you dance. You know, so when you mention like a song and a book and a dance, I'm laughing.
Yes, I mean, I can tell you now. I just think Theo and I just think the dancer. It was so interesting for me to find out that you are actually from Kagiso on the West Rand.
Yes, Kagiso on the West Rand. You know, a very small township. That's where I was born and raised. It's a very small township, but there are a few, you know, I would say legends from that small township. I think we've got Opito Musimani, you know, the coach, you know, coming from Kagiso as well. A lot of soccer players that side. So yeah, it's a small township, but with small diamonds coming from that, you know, small township.
Yeah, I mean, speak to me about that home, because for me, the sense I have is that you were raised in a rather warm home with three other siblings, and you being the second of four.
Yeah. Growing up in Kagiso is divided into two. There's Kagiso 1 and Kagiso 2. And I think Kagiso 1 was the first developed township. Then Kagiso 2, you know, was a newer township. So we grew up in Kagiso. It used to be called Lepers Play then, you know, but it's called Kagiso 1. So we grew up there. I went to school at a Roman Catholic school called St. Peter's.
Yeah.
That's where I started my primary. Then my parents moved from Kagiso 1 to Kagiso 2, where I started my secondary education at SG Mafaisa, you know, and then from, you know, being in Kagiso, then my tertiary I did at Boston City campus. But by then it was still new, but we were also doing it with Rao University. I know that we don't have Rao anymore, but we used to do it with Rao University as well.
You know, oftentimes you hear from people who went to religious schools. You say you went to a Roman Catholic school. Some of them will tell you how they were discouraged from the singing and the dancing. But it seems like you've been singing and dancing since you could walk.
Yes, I think, you know, growing up as a child, I was a very active child. I used to like doing different things, you know, and while I was growing up, there used to be youth clubs. I don't know if people still have youth clubs nowadays, but we used to keep ourselves busy with youth clubs. And at a youth club, you get to do a variety of things. It can be acting, it can be dancing, it can be singing, you know. So I was involved in dancing, and I was also involved, you know, in singing. But as a child as well, I used to love playing soccer. I think soccer was my first love. Playing soccer in the street, playing soccer at school, and, you know, finally finding a team in the township that I played for. Honestly, I never thought that I would take the direction of music, because soccer was my number one, you know, passion.
So we will come back. I know that it's called Song and Book and a Dish, but let's start with your book. You've chosen the Bible. Why?
There's so many books that I could choose from, but I've chosen the Bible because it is the only book I know that can change and impact your life. You know, spiritually, if I, you know, need comfort, I go to the Bible. If I need encouragement, I go to the Bible. I find the Bible, you know, being the only book that doesn't change, that remains the same. It was written like many years ago, but it still have the same impact even today, you know. So I would say the Bible, I don't read it all the time, but it is the only book that is really, really close to my heart. Whenever I go through something, I know that I could find answers, in the Bible. So yeah, the Bible will be my first favorite, book. If I had to choose one, that will be that only book that I'll choose.
Yeah, as you're speaking, I'm picturing your home. Were you in that home that had a Bible in every corner? Some of us who grew up with grandparents, you find a Bible in the kitchen. There's a Bible in the sitting room and a Bible in the bedroom. Was that your home?
No, my home. I grew up. My grandmother was a prayer warrior. So she's a woman that I will say, taught us how to pray. There wouldn't be a night that we will go to bed without praying, even if we were so exhausted from just playing as kids, but we will never go to bed without praying. And she used to pray for a longest time until sometimes we find ourselves sleeping because she was still praying and stuff, So yeah, I grew up in that family where, we grew up in prayer. My like I said, my grandmother was a prayer warrior. So, my mom and my dad and my siblings as well, we grew up in that environment of prayer.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, my grandmother, yeah.
And then let's go to your favorite dish. I want you to tell me about it and who prepares this dish for you, because in Alebo dombolo and I love the dombolo also, steamed bread.
Who invented the dombolo?
I don't know, but kitchenias.
Whoever invented the dombolo and say mixing this will make a wonderful, a meal. I chose dombolo because even though I don't eat it that often, but I love African food, and I'm married to, a colored lady, a colored beautiful woman,
Yes.
but she's got a background of Indian background in her family as well. So I think her mother, has a very close, Indian background from her family side. So she taught her, Indian dish, so her being married to, an African man, she had to learn how to do African food. So the meal on its own is a combination of two, African and Indian. So it's an amazing thing. She would do itombolo, but the stew will be, an Indian stew, and you must know when you talk about an Indian stew, there has to be chilies somewhere.
Yes, I was about to say that I'm sure it's hot and spicy.
Yeah, it's hot and spicy.
Yes.
Yeah, so the hot and spicy of, the lamb stew, and the combination of it and itombolo. And obviously I love beetroot, I also love spinach, will be creamy spinach that will be put in there, and pumpkin as well. So it's and a little bit of acha on the side.
Yes,
Yes.
as if this wasn't hot enough, as if this is not chilly enough, you add acha.
You add acha. Acha must be there. There's no way that you can have it without acha. So that combination of African and Indian mixture together, that's my favorite food. I love dumpling.
Wow, that does sound amazing. Now I feel like I need to get some of that. And I mean, just speak to me about the relationship, and the tone that food sets in your home. You hear people often saying that you want to connect over a warm meal, and it sounds to me like this is the type of meal that you sit down to have when you want to connect with your loved one.
Yeah, no. It's like I said, you mentioned you said it correctly that food, connects. Connects. You could be sitting in a table with a family, or you could be sitting with friends. But a dish, a wonderful dish makes a true connection between family and friends. You can't have an occasion without food. And a very good food. So. If you have a wife who knows how to cook, you are truly blessed.
Okay. Theo, we must speak about your musical career because, I mean, you are truly one of the legends and you have set the tone quite a bit for South African music. Sometimes I think of Afro pop when I think about you and just Mafizolo, but there's more music that you are exploring. And you've recently also decided to go solo. Talk to me about that.
I'm doing my solo project. I did my solo project, I think it was 2008, and it did very well. And I also did my second solo project 2010. But when I did my first solo 2008, it was a very successful solo project. I never thought that as a solo artist I would be, I'll do that well, because by then people, are still like Mafikizolo, they know Mafikizolo, so they cannot separate myself with Mafikizolo or separate Nhlanhla with Mafikizolo. So I am Theo Mafikizolo, she's Nhlanhla Mafikizolo, so you cannot separate the two. And doing the solo project was quite a big challenge, because the brand is a bigger brand than us as solo artists. But I was really truly blessed with this first solo project that did very well. I won awards with this particular solo album. It had, Ndambela Phezulu, the classic Umphathe Kahle, and my second solo, I got to get into the studio with Zonke. We did a song called Thinking About You.
Yes.
So my first and second solo project was successful. I got the opportunity to open for Angie Stone. I got an opportunity to open for Joe Thomas as well. So as a solo artist, I would say I achieved success as a solo artist, and obviously I've achieved my success with Mafikizolo as well. But I'm a person who comes from a background of a songwriter, so I love songwriting. Songwriting is my first love, then music, because I really, really love writing songs, because I know that the impact of songs into people's life is so powerful. When you meet someone and say like, hey, Renyetse Kandamba Nawe, or, Mastogoz is my favorite song, or Emlanje is my favorite song. It's a truly true blessing, and the process of songwriting, not knowing that like the song that you're going to write is going to be a big song or is going to have an impact on people's lives. So songwriting is my first passion and my first love. And now currently I'm in studio. I did a song called Umdanso with the Mageba, which is a 3-step kind of sound, which is a newer sound. And then I also did the song with Luan Zungulu. The song is called Injabulo, which is more what I'm familiar with, which is an Afro pop ballad, that I did with there. And yes, definitely this year I'm working on, doing an EP, because last year I just released singles, but this year I'm doing an EP as a solo artist.
And the song that you've chosen today is one of your own.
Yeah, the song that I've chosen, and the reason why I chose it is because when I wrote the song, it just reminded me of my wife, because she brings me so much joy and happiness. I'm just myself, just around her. So loving her is easy, and it comes so freely, and it just makes me happy. So it's called Injabulo, featuring Loa.
All right, Theo Khosengwe, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you. Continue to shine, and we wish you all of the very best in your career.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for getting in touch with me. Thank you so much.
All right, that is Theo Khosengwe. You might know him as half of Mafikizolo, but he is a multi-award-winning singer-songwriter. Here's one of his songs with Mlwa Ndlunkulu, Injabulo. It's in Jabulo by Theo Kosinkwe and Luan Dlungulu. Beautiful sounds there. Of course, there's more coming from Theo in his solo album, but he's going to continue making music as well with Mafigizolo, which I'm really excited about. All right, this brings us to the very end of a 702 Afternoon Drive. My name is Kumaza Mudisa. I've been in for John Perlman this afternoon. From the team, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for your contributions. I do see many of your texts coming in about your RIP to Chuck Norris. We'll continue hearing more on EWN. For now, though, it's goodbye.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, proud sponsors of GTR Africa 2026, enabling trade flows for growth. Absa is a registered FSP. Good evening on your Friday Money Show tonight. Government imposes new tariffs on structural construction steel as it says